Chapter 2905. After Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the meditative forgetfulness experts stopped talking. Instead of walking through this journey with a heavy heart, it was better to open up and give the demon race a heavy blow. Let's go. Let's find the entrance to the third layer of hell. One of the powerhouses regained his composure and let out a soft cry as he shot forward. Kill the devil race in the 18 layers of hell. As long as their cultivation is above the true severing realm, kill one if you see one, kill two if you see two. Another expert shouted. His killing intent was so cold that it sent chills down everyone's spine. The millions of immortal realm experts did not sense the existence of the heartbeat in the dark. Naturally, they did not have the worries of the meditative forgetfulness experts. The Tao-carrying expert who might be a devil general did not give them any pressure. They could not hide the enthusiasm in their hearts as they continued to kill. Everyone continued to push forward, crushing everything in their way as they advanced deeper into the second layer of hell. The meditative forgetfulness experts did not pour cold water on them and told them what they had sensed. Just like the first layer of hell, there was probably a broken seal in the first layer of hell that could lead to the third layer of hell. The most important thing now was to find that seal and enter it. Then they would advance to the third layer of hell. Rumble. In the second layer of hell, the fierce killing continued. All the devil race experts who were in the path of the 33 heavens experts were wiped out. Not a single one of them survived. The devil race fled in all directions, but no matter how fast they were, they could not outrun the pursuit of the millions of experts. Everyone carried out a fierce slaughter as they continued to move forward. After an unknown period of time, many of them had ended the lives of many devil race experts. The aura they exuded was earth-shattering, and the killing intent soared into the sky. Du Xiaofu was the same. Every time he attacked, he would reap a large number of lives. His essence, qi, and spirit condensed into a special charm, giving him an awe-inspiring aura. The entrance to the third layer of hell is not far ahead. Du Xiaofu said with a burning gaze as he traversed the void. The power of his soul spread out, and he could sense a familiar aura ahead. It was the aura of hellfire that he had seen at the entrance to the second level. This aura might be the entrance to the third floor. Let's go. Beside him, Lu Jingyun waved his sleeve and instantly left with a large group of people. After sweeping through the second layer of hell, by the time they arrived here, there were already very few devils. Hellfire is really good stuff. But this time, I'm afraid I won't be able to gain much from it. Du Xiaofu was not slow at all. He quickly caught up with the group in front of him. He thought to himself as he looked at the sea of flames. After the refinement last time, his body and soul had been condensed to the limit, reaching the apex of what he could achieve at his level. If he continued to temper himself in there, it would be very difficult for him to obtain any more benefits. This time, let's have a try. My cultivation base has been stuck at 9th sky of immortal realm for many years, but I'm not willing to give up. Even if I can't break through the meditative realm, at least I'll be satisfied with one more step. Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, and Long San couldn't help but look at the terrifying flames ahead of them. Their eyes couldn't hide their bright light. They had been at 9th sky of immortal realm for many years. However, after so many years, they had tried to find a chance to enter the meditative realm, but they couldn't succeed. Just like Yu Taiyan, who had created the Yuqing Divine Kingdom, he had resolutely given up the God King position after encountering the bottleneck that he couldn't break through. He wanted to find a chance to break through. This chance didn't have to be a blessed land or a place left by an expert. It also didn't have to be a divine object. Perhaps this fortuitous encounter was just a moment when he was wandering the world, when his heart suddenly throbbed, and he was suddenly enlightened. Thus, the experts at 9th sky of immortal realm like Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, and Long San didn't expect to break through a big realm in the hell flame. They didn't expect to reach the meditative realm that only a few people in this world could reach. They just wanted to increase their cultivation base, which had been stagnant for so many years. It was enough to make them excited. I hope we can get something this time. Xiaofu is smart. He can think of this method. Using the hell flame to refine the body, it's not a bad idea. Chu Daoju and the other two laughed. They stormed out of the crowd and jumped into the hell flame. Right after that, they withdrew the energy from their bodies and started to use the fierce flame to refine their bodies and primordial spirits. Seeing their actions, the other high-level immortal realm experts in the 33 heavens couldn't help but follow them. Shortly after, the hell flame covered more than 1,000 people at the same time. If it weren't for some meditative forgetfulness expert stopping them, there would probably be even more people who wanted to give it a try. We have to take care of them. We can't let anything unexpected happen. A meditative realm elder with white hair and a beard said as such. Although these high-level immortal realm experts had good cultivation bases, they were still much weaker than Du Xiaofu. They couldn't resist the hell flame with their own strength. They still needed the help of the meditative realm experts, just like little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao. Otherwise, if they were careless, they would be swallowed by the hell flame and turned into ashes. It's really hard to use it again after refining it once. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing also jumped into the hell flame. However, the three of them could feel that the hell flame still burned them. It was still unbearably hot, but it wasn't like before when it could refine their bodies and primordial spirits. Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao both felt disappointed when they sensed the situation. Under Lu Jingyun's protection, they returned rather reluctantly in the end, entering the protection cast down by the experts of the Oblivion realm. Dad, do you still want to continue refining? Seeing that Du Xiaofu had no intention of returning, little Xingxing couldn't help but raise her eyebrows and ask him. I want to try again. Du Xiaofu didn't look at her and only replied. He had some new ideas. Perhaps it would be hard for him to improve his body and primordial spirit, but perhaps he could continue to try in other areas. The hell flame was a rare item. Du Xiaofu didn't want to waste time. After all, it would take a long time to reach the third layer. You still want to try? Du Xiaoyao, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke and the rest were all surprised as well. It was very clear that Du Xiaofu would not have much of an effect if he continued to stay in the infernal realm. Rather than enduring the immense pain, he might as well properly adjust his breathing and prepare to enter the next level of the infernal realm. I wonder if this will work. Du Xiaofu ignored everyone's gazes and only focused slightly. Without thinking, he removed all the protection around his body and allowed the boundless heat to engulf him. It was as if he was about to melt. This time, because his body and primordial spirit had both evolved to a terrifying level, it was much easier for him to endure compared to the first time. Du Xiaofu tried to move all the heat in his body towards his lower abdomen. At his lower abdomen, there was a ball of unimaginably vigorous energy. It was the primal chaos origin that Heavenly Lord Absolute had left behind. He had an even bolder idea. He wanted to use the hell flame to roast the primal chaos origin so that he could continue refining it. I hope it will work. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. His entire body quickly turned scarlet red, like a piece of cooked iron. Streams of hot air began to flow within his body. He directed all of them towards the primal chaos source. Back in the divine battle world, Du Xiaofu had spent hundreds of years in the space left behind by Heavenly Lord Absolute. He had only refined a small part of the primal chaos origin, but his cultivation had directly increased by a level. Heavenly Lord Absolute had once said that Du Xiaofu could rely on the primal chaos origin that he had left behind. As long as he finished refining it, he would be able to easily step into the realm of Tao and become the strongest existence in the world. Du Xiaofu had such conditions. He had transcended the truth-severing realm with the 4 primordial laws and achieved the virtual path realm. With the help of the primal chaos origin, this process was naturally much easier than normal cultivation. However, the primal chaos origin was an extremely rare and overbearing object. How could it be easy to refine it? It was also because of this that Du Xiaofu had only managed to refine a small part of it until now. He hoped that he could refine more of it through the hellfire and raise his strength to another level. Within the 18 levels of hell, there were still huge tests waiting for him. The first and second levels that he had just passed were just simple appetizers. The challenges that came after would definitely exceed his imagination. Martial Uncle Du, this is Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the other meditative experts all looked at Du Xiaofu with puzzlement in their eyes. They were unable to pry into the existence of the primal chaos origin, nor did they know what that fellow was trying to do by continuing to soak in the boiling flames. Under such circumstances, time passed slowly. Chu Daoju, Long San, Ling Feng, and the other immortal realm experts were in the same situation as Du Xiaoyao and Little Xingxing previously. They all needed experts to protect them, control the temperature of the fire, and carry out the calcining and tempering. Everyone could clearly feel that the aura of these thousands of people were changing. It became increasingly vast and deep, with a special charm that it had never had before. One could imagine that once they walked out of the flames, their strength would definitely increase. The Yu Qing Divine Emperor's condition is so strange. There are clearly no changes to his body, but why does he give off an unfathomable feeling? When everyone looked at Du Xiaofu, some meditative experts couldn't help but frown and mumble. Du Xiaofu's body sank along with them. As he passed through the hellfire, his entire body was completely red. His current condition was very strange. It wasn't like when he was at the entrance of the second level, where he revealed a fierce aura. At this moment, the flames burning Du Xiaofu's body didn't seem to hurt or itch at all. It was as if they were silently absorbed by him. This puzzled everyone. Logically speaking, after Du Xiaofu removed all of his defenses, he shouldn't be able to resist all of them. At the very least, there should be some movement. However, this wasn't the case. His entire body was like a crimson red fossil. He didn't move at all. The endless flames burning his body didn't cause any more changes. I keep having the feeling that something incredible is happening to him, Lu Jingyun said softly. This time, no one replied. Many experts fell silent. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Du Xiaofu's body. They wanted to see what would happen to him in the end. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was in an indescribable state. He didn't care about what was happening outside his body. He only focused on controlling the path of the flames outside his body. Enveloped by the scorching aura, the chaos origin began to show signs of melting. Under normal circumstances, the origin of chaos was like a hard rock that couldn't be shaken at all. But at this moment, under the terrifying burning of the hellfire, it was like a piece of wax. It began to shine and was then absorbed by Du Xiaofu's body. The terrifying origin of chaos rampaged through Du Xiaofu's body, constantly nourishing his body and primordial spirit. After experiencing a metamorphosis, Du Xiaofu had already reached the pinnacle of his cultivation. It was equivalent to having a solid foundation. After receiving the nourishment this time, his cultivation began to faintly rise. This origin of chaos is really extraordinary. Even the hellfire can only burn a trace of its power. If I want to absorb and refine it normally, it's really too difficult. As the changes in his body occurred, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of this. When he first obtained the origin of chaos, his body received a huge amount of energy. At the same time, the secret connection between him and Shen Wu world became deeper. This caused his own cultivation to rise, so he was able to refine more of the origin of chaos power. In the process, he himself benefited greatly, and the benefits were astonishing. However, after that time, the origin of chaos seemed to have fallen into silence, and it was difficult for it to move again. Du Xiaofu wanted to shake it and use its power for his own use, and the best way to do that was to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. But after entering the second level of the Void Dao realm, it was extremely difficult to take another step forward. Condensing the Dao, transforming the Dao, carrying the Dao with one's body. He was now at the transforming the Dao, and if he took another step forward, he would be carrying the Dao with his body. That was the same cultivation level as senior brother Lu Xiaoyu. Du Xiaofu wasn't naive enough to think that he didn't need to put in any effort to achieve the Dao-carrying body. Therefore, he worked hard to use the power of the hellfire to temper his body. He also wanted to burn the origin of chaos so that he could become a little stronger, a little stronger. Even if it was just a little, it was still a foundation. Every bit of accumulation was preparation for future breakthroughs. As long as he continued to work hard and persevere, Du Xiaofu believed that breaking through to the Dao-carrying body wouldn't be difficult. If he wanted to defeat Jiangchen and protect the people he wanted to protect, He had to work hard bit by bit and become stronger. I seem to feel that Senior Master Du's strength has faintly increased again. Around him, Lu Jingyun suddenly raised his eyebrows and said softly, "I feel it too. Senior Master Du is too awesome. He can actually cultivate peacefully under the cover of the hellfire." Long K also exclaimed and sighed with emotion. At this time, the other experts also felt a considerable amount of shock. Du Xiaofu's current transformation was different from tempering his physical body and primordial spirit. The previous tempering was to transform his physical body and primordial spirit. But now, his cultivation was faintly increasing, and this had a different meaning. This kid is one of a kind in this world. I really don't know how he reached this step today. An old man smiled bitterly and said with incomparable emotion, "That's right. Otherwise, why would there be such a person in the Void Dao realm in the entire 33 heavens?" Another person spoke up with a bitter smile on his face. "Just based on this point, I think we should calm down. No matter what happens to that guy, no matter how shocking it is, it's still something that can be understood." Suddenly, an expert pondered for a moment and said such words. When the others heard this, they all nodded in agreement. Du Xiaofu had already refreshed the world's understanding time and time again. He had only cultivated for 1,000 years to the Void Dao realm. Just this gimmick alone was enough to scare people. If it was in the past, who in the 33 heavens would dare to believe that someone could do this? But Du Xiaofu had done it, shocking the entire world. And after that, no matter what kind of shocking things happened to him, it was easier for people to accept. In the end, there was only one reason. Who told this brat to be the greatest freak in the entire 33 heavens since ancient times? Everyone was looking forward to the day when this weirdo would fully bloom and display the most dazzling brilliance in the 33 heavens, illuminating the world and surpassing all living beings. Is it Empyrean Absolute's primal chaos source? Among the crowd, Lu Jingyun suddenly raised his eyebrows and muttered to himself in a voice that only he could hear. As the strongest person present, his perception was sharper than anyone else's. Even the slightest change in Du Xiaofu's body could not escape his senses. Only that ball of primal chaos source was not within this range. Therefore, Lu Jingyun had some faint guesses in his heart. He roughly guessed why Du Xiaofu would have such a subtle change. Chapter 2906. Time passed silently. Many high-level Immortal Realm experts were immersed in the hellfire, being burned by the terrifying scarlet flames. With the help of the meditative Oblivion Realm experts, these thousands of people did not have to worry about any problems. However, their strength was limited after all. After enduring for a period of time, they left on their own and returned to the protection of the experts, unable to continue tempering themselves. However, after going through such an experience, these people's cultivation had improved greatly. Everyone's aura was much more condensed, looking even more profound, like an unfathomable abyss. Only Du Xiaofu remained in that strange state, causing many experts to feel astonished. Finally, just as they were about to enter the third layer of hell, Du Xiaofu woke up. When he looked at the experts, they all felt a vigorous Taoist rhyme flowing out from his eyes, causing the surrounding space to change strangely. This kind of natural power that flowed out was deep and vast, unintentionally causing a great impact. Junior Master Du's cultivation has improved again. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yushao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the rest of the meditative Oblivion Realm experts looked at each other, seeing the shock in each other's eyes. They were all experts, so naturally, they could clearly feel the aura emanating from Du Xiaofu's body. It was so much stronger than before, almost 20% stronger. This was too terrifying, unimaginable. Just cultivating in the hellfire once, and there was such a huge improvement. It was simply too frightening. I feel that if this guy's strength improves by a few more percent, I'm afraid this old man won't be his opponent. An old man in the first level of meditative Oblivion Realm suddenly said, shaking his head and sighing bitterly. Du Xiaofu's strength was already close to the first level of meditative Oblivion Realm. After this improvement, it was natural that he would become even stronger. The three levels of the Virtual Path Realm were Dao Condensation, Dao Derivation, and Body Dao. The second level required continuous improvement. At the end, one could compete with the third level of meditative oblivion realm. At that time, Du Xiaofu would be in a similar situation as Lu Jingyun and the others. After that, he would be able to surpass Lu Jingyun and the others. Then, he would be able to take the final step and achieve a true body of Tao. He would be able to walk his own path and break free from the shackles of heaven and earth. To him, this process was much easier than the third level of meditative realm. The Void Tao realm seemed to be the stepping stone to the realm of Tao bearers. All the Tao bearers who had existed since the beginning of the world had entered this realm. All the worlds were created from the primal chaos. They carried the Tao with their bodies, comprehended the primal chaos energy, and stood above everything else. Have we arrived at the third layer of hell? After Du Xiaofu woke up, he didn't care about the surprised gazes of the crowd and simply said this. He cast his gaze towards his feet and spread out the power of his soul. He sensed that the exit of the hellfire space was not far away. We'll be able to leave soon. The third layer of hell, we're here. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Lu Jingyun and the others gathered their thoughts. Their eyes flashed as they began to brew a terrifying killing intent. Once they arrived at the third layer of hell, a new massacre was about to unfold. Facing the demons, they would not show any mercy. They would only kill until their hands went limp. Let's go! With Du Xiaofu's shout, millions of powerhouses moved out. Their voices shook the void as they rushed into the third layer of hell. The scene that followed was just like the previous two layers. It was a one-sided slaughter. In the third layer of hell, a large number of high-level immortal realm demons finally appeared. There were no less than tens of thousands of them in the immortal realm. But compared to the powerhouses from the 33 heavens, these numbers were not enough. A terrifying slaughter unfolded. Many demons were killed until they were terrified and fled for their lives. However, how could they escape the slaughter? Several hundred meditative boundary powerhouses attacked, easily suppressing the immortal realm powerhouses and killing them. A terrifying wind and rain of blood scattered in all directions, filling every corner of the third layer of hell. Demon blood flowed all over the ground. Broken limbs and broken bones of the demons shot out, but even more were annihilated into nothingness. Kill! The powerhouses from the 33 heavens were like gods of death descending. Their methods were no less bloody than the demons. They knew that every demon that was killed would be one less demon. In the future, when they attacked the 33 heavens, the damage would be reduced. In such a situation, no one would hold back. The best way to deal with the demons was to kill. Kill to stop killing. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In the entire space, scarlet red filled the skies. The mountains shook, the earth shook, the void exploded, the universe turned upside down, and the heavens shook. The sounds of roars and slaughter rose and fell one after another, and they interweaved into a pleasing movement that played the song of death loudly, causing the hearts of all to shake. Du Xiaofu and the other powerhouses pushed forward, directly killing their way to the entrance of the fourth layer of hell. At this time, in the third layer of hell, the top powerhouses of the demons had all been killed or injured. Not a single immortal realm demon was left. As for the majority of the true Severing Realm demon powerhouses, more than half of them had died. Only a few managed to escape with their lives. And this was because Du Xiaofu and the others were not willing to chase after them. They only wanted to go all out and break through a few more layers before the news of them entering the 18 layers of hell spread. If they could kill their way to the demon ancestor, that would be the best result. At the entrance to the fourth layer, there was also a broken seal. Hellfire burned fiercely. This time, Du Xiaofu still grasped the opportunity. He let the terrifying flames wrap around his body and then controlled them, turning them to his lower abdomen and roasting the chaos source in his body. Hellfire was the most powerful flame in the world. It was the seal that the great god Pangu had set up to seal the demon ancestor's primordial spirit. Although the seal had been broken, it still retained a great deal of power. The power of the primal chaos source could also be incinerated and absorbed by Du Xiaofu. However, this was still a broken seal. Almost all of its power was lost. As a result, The chaos source only flowed out some chaos chi. There was almost no visible change in its size. However, in this process, Du Xiaofu had obtained incomparably huge benefits. The tempering effect of the hellfire is too good. This time, we have to seize the opportunity. Many of the other experts said aloud. Another 1,000 or so creatures stepped into the flames. With the protection of the powerhouses of oblivion, their bodies and primordial spirits were cleansed, and they achieved great progress. Some of the powerhouses who were at a bottleneck directly broke through a level of cultivation, and their strength increased greatly. Everyone passed through the broken seal. It did not take long for them to enter the 4th layer of hell. A new round of slaughter began. It was almost the same as before. The only difference was that there were even more demon powerhouses in the 4th layer. A massive number of powerhouses appeared, and there were even several existences at the meditative realm. However, the more than 200 meditative realm powerhouses of the 33 heavens rushed forwards, instantly suppressing these demons. They swept through everything like a hot knife through butter. Their slaughter shook the heavens and earth as they rapidly advanced, their momentum swift and fierce. Borrowing this momentum, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens broke through several hells. No one could stop them. It was unknown just how many demons died at their hands. The truth-severing boundary, the immortal boundary, the meditative realm, all added together were innumerable. And at every barrier between the two hells, there would be powerhouses tempering themselves, increasing their strength. Some powerhouses of the 33 heavens also fell, but overall, the number wasn't great. Everyone was well aware that if they did not slaughter their way into the 18 hells, the number of powerhouses they would lose in the future would be countless times greater than what they had lost today. Every demon that died had the potential to take away the life of the 33 heavens. Therefore, this loss was really insignificant. In the 5th layer of hell, the 7th layer of hell, the 8th layer of hell, the 9th layer of hell, and in this 10th layer of hell, I can sense the aura of life. I wonder what kind of existence it is. Everyone borrowed the incomparably ferocious momentum and killed their way through the 10th layer of hell. At this time, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Du Xiaofu and the rest of the meditative realm powerhouses' hearts were filled with even more doubts. In the 5th layer, 7th layer, 8th layer, 9th layer, and 10th layer of hell, they all seemed to sense the existence of life in the dark. The faint sound of heartbeats could be heard, causing everyone's hearts to sink. This is definitely not an illusion. There must be a sleeping powerhouse in the dark. Long Ke was also very worried. His handsome brows were tightly knitted together. Along the way, they had encountered many similar situations. It couldn't be an accident or an illusion. The senses of a group of meditative realm powerhouses were definitely real. And this kind of situation where they couldn't be sure of it made everyone feel even more uneasy. In the 1st layer, 3rd layer, 4th layer, and 6th layer of hell, there wasn't such a feeling. However, there might be a sleeping powerhouse in there as well. It's just that they didn't show any signs of it. Lu Cheng stepped forward and said so. This speculation wasn't without reason. In the majority of the layers, such a situation had occurred. Only in the 4th layer of hell, there was no feeling. Perhaps it was just that they hadn't discovered it yet. It's fine. At this time, Du Xiaofu opened his mouth. He thought for a while and said, "No matter what kind of powerhouse is in the dark, there's one thing we can be sure of right now. These powerhouses can't pose any threat to us. No matter if they're sleeping or still sealed, it's impossible for them to make a move against us. So, we'll continue as usual and continue to charge through the 18 layers of hell. I'd like to see when those terrifying powerhouses of the devil race will appear." Chapter 2907. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, everyone agreed. His words were not without reason. If the person who had been sealed or slumbering in the dark could make a move, he would not sit back and watch them pass through the 10th level of hell. If a Dao attainment powerhouse made a move, the millions of powerhouses in the 33 heavens would be instantly destroyed. Enter the 11th level of hell. After a simple exchange, Du Xiaofu and the others once again embarked on their journey. The entrance to the 11th level of hell was found. Many powerhouses rushed in and began to cross the flames of hell. The flames that filled the sky enveloped Du Xiaofu and the others once again. Everyone had experienced this many times and was no longer as shocked as they were at the beginning. Instead, for many people, this was a huge opportunity. It was a benefit that they could not obtain in the past. However, this time, there were more than 200 meditative powerhouses accompanying them. With their protection, it was naturally easy for everyone to obtain such benefits. There was no need to worry about any danger. Huff, huff, huff. Everyone continued to move forward. Tongues of fire curled up in the sky. No one spoke. Everyone was used to this. Du Xiaofu once again entered the same state as before. He used the blazing flames to burn the chaos source and refine it. Now, that lump of primal chaos source had clearly decreased. His strength had already increased greatly, and his progress was extremely fast. Some of the ordinary meditative powerhouses were no longer his match. Everyone could not help but think in their hearts, if this guy was allowed to continue refining like this, who knew what kind of realm he would reach when he passed through the 18th level of hell? Besides Du Xiaofu, the other immortal powerhouses who had not been refined in the chaos source would naturally not let go of such an opportunity. Time passed silently. In everyone's opinion, perhaps everything would be the same as before. No accidents would happen until they entered the 11th level of hell. However, at a certain moment, a terrifying tremor suddenly came from the void. Rumble. This trembling sound was like the collapse of 10,000 mountains and the roar of 1,000 waves. It caused the flame space where the powerhouses of the 33 heavens were located to tremble in an extremely terrifying manner. The void directly collapsed and disintegrated, turning into a piece of chaos. Not good. Everyone come back quickly. A meditative Oblivion Realm expert shouted and instantly took action, pulling the experts who were being tempered in the flames back and placing them under the protection of the others. The defense set up by hundreds of meditative forgetfulness powerhouses was also shaking and on the verge of collapse. Fortunately, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yushao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others were protecting him with all their might. Only then did he manage to hold on. Boom, boom, boom. This tremor lasted for a very long time. Everyone stood in the void unsteadily, as if they were about to fall. I wonder what happened in the 18 levels of hell that caused such a huge commotion. I'm afraid an unimaginable change has occurred. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. It must be related to the demon race. This commotion came from the depths of the 18 layers of hell. Perhaps it's related to the demon ancestor. Could it be that he has once again recovered to an extremely strong state? The experts of the 33 heavens could not help but begin to discuss. Everyone's hearts were incomparably heavy. For such a huge commotion to occur in the 18 layers of hell, the first thing that came to mind was the demon race. This was their world. The biggest possibility was still the demon ancestor. However, they did not know what kind of existence the demon race had triggered. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying tremors spread in all directions, causing everyone's eardrums to be muddled. It lasted for a long time. Only until a certain moment did everything calm down. The flame space that everyone was in also returned to its previous state and stopped shaking. Seeing such a scene, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others let out a long sigh of relief. This is definitely not a good sign. As long as it's related to the demon race, we must be careful. Beside Du Xiaofu and the others, Chu Daoji's face was solemn as he said, it had been many years since the demon ancestor entered the 18 layers of hell. It had also been many years since they entered this place. Today, they had already arrived at the 11th layer of hell, but they had yet to encounter any fierce resistance from the demon race. This kind of performance did not match the demon race's ferocious momentum at all. From this, it could be inferred that the demon race's true strength had already retreated to the depths of the 18 layers of hell. The further down the experts of the 33 heavens went, the greater the resistance they would face. And now that such a terrifying commotion had occurred, no one knew what exactly caused it. They were afraid that it was a change caused by a certain expert of the demon race whose strength had greatly increased. And this expert of the demon race was most likely the demon ancestor. Such a deduction could not help but cause everyone's hearts to feel heavy. No matter what happened, we still have to continue. Lu Jingyun thought for a moment and said, "That's right. We'll know in the future. Let's just take one step at a time. This hellfire is a rare good thing. I'd better go in and cultivate for a while." Du Xiaofu nodded, and then rushed out again, entering the hellfire. Seeing this, everyone could only look at each other. The 18 layers of hell had a total of 18 layers of space. Each layer was a major world from the primordial era. After the great god Pangu suppressed the demon ancestor's nascent divinity, all of the layers of space were combined into one by an invisible force, connected by a mysterious force. The heaven-shaking, earth-shaking seal collapsed, causing the deeper one went into the 18 layers of hell, the more terrifying it became. The demon ancestor's nascent divinity had been divided into 18 parts, each of which was suppressed within the 18 layers of hell. When Jiangchen killed the demon god in the divine battle world and obtained a part of the demon ancestor's nascent divinity, he recovered much of his memories from the primordial era and learned of his own origins. And so, after entering the 33 heavens, Jiangchen began making preparations to enter the 18 layers of hell. He attempted to merge all of his nascent divinity, recover his peak strength, and once again lead the countless demon ancestors in conquering the 33 heavens. Many years passed in a hurry. Now, Jiangchen had entered the 16th layer of hell. On this day, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Chu Daoju, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the other powerhouses of the 33 heavens had broken through the 18 layers of hell and were on their way to the 11th layer. When they encountered the terrifying commotion, Jiangchen's figure stood at the entrance to the 17th layer of hell. In front of him was a sea of raging, scarlet flames. Compared to the hellfire Du Xiaofu and the others had encountered, they were tens of thousands of times more powerful. However, at the center of the raging flames was an enormous, pitch-black hole. Dense demonic qi roiled endlessly within. The overwhelming demonic qi continuously corroded the terrifying flames, causing their might to grow weaker and weaker. "Your Excellency, you've already entered the 17th layer of hell. If you succeed in merging 2 more nascent divinities, Your Excellency's strength will reach its peak. At that point, the demon race will once again descend upon the 33 heavens and take control of all worlds. Millions upon millions of living beings will prostrate themselves before the might of the demon race." Behind Jiangchen, Dongli Qihuang took half a step forward. He gazed at the incomparably terrifying raging flames in front of him and spoke with a sinister smile. His words carried uncontrollable complacency. It was as if he'd already seen that day arrive. The demon race would slaughter the 33 heavens, causing the countless living beings of Pangu world to tremble in fear. It's not just the 33 heavens. We can't let go of the 3,000 boundless worlds either. That Lu Xiaoyu has repeatedly interfered in the affairs of the demon race. He can't be tolerated. Since he has the guts to participate in the conflict between the demon race and the 33 heavens, then he must be prepared for the demon race to raise the 3,000 boundless worlds to the ground. On the other side, Qin Yan spoke coldly. Ever since the two of them learned of their true identities, that they were the reincarnations of two great demon attendants from the primordial era, they couldn't help but begin to look forward to their excellency returning to the peak. So long as the demon ancestor returned, under his leadership, the 33 heavens that had lost the protection of Pangu would be like fish on a chopping block. They'd be at the mercy of the demon race. Presently, there were no more terrifying existences like Pangu and Exalted Celestial in this world. The demon ancestor was the strongest existence. The only thing they had to be wary of was the creator of the 3,000 boundless worlds, a fiend god that had similarly walked out from the primal chaos. However, they weren't particularly worried about this. The demon ancestor had an undying body. If Pangu and Exalted Celestial hadn't joined forces during the primordial era, it would have been impossible for them to suppress him. On the other hand, Exalted Celestial had perished a long time ago, and Pangu had fallen into a deep slumber for countless years. So, who in this world could go against the demon ancestor? Who had the ability to suppress him? Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yan didn't doubt that so long as their excellency recovered his full strength, sweeping through the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds would be just around the corner. Lu Xiaoyu had set foot in the 33 heavens many years ago and pursued the demon god. Now, he'd even become enemies with the demon race. The 3,000 boundless worlds behind him had to be destroyed. Reducing them to a demon realm was the best punishment for him. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Lu Xiaoyu isn't a simple person. Don't underestimate him. Hearing Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan's words, Jiang Chen's gaze didn't waver. He simply stared at the raging flames in front of him. He was as tall and handsome as ever. His robes fluttered even though there was no wind, revealing his extreme calmness and aloofness. Although Lu Xiaoyu is valiant, compared to your excellency, he's nothing. Dongli Qihuang's expression twisted as he spoke viciously. Only in front of Jiang Chen did he have the confidence to say these words. If he'd faced Lu Xiaoyu directly, he'd never have dared to say such arrogant words. My physical body has been trapped in the divine battle world for many years. Lu Xiaoyu must have sensed everything from the primordial era. I'm certain he's made his own arrangements. He absolutely won't tolerate our demon race making a comeback so easily. Jiang Chen's face was expressionless, as if he wasn't moved at all. He continued, but what surprises me is that we've already reached the entrance to the 17th layer of hell, yet he still hasn't made any moves. In that case, even I can't be sure what exactly he's up to. What I fear is that if he does, he'll pose an unimaginable obstacle to our demon race. As he finished speaking, Jiang Chen's handsome brows furrowed slightly, as if he were worried. He'd already met Lu Xiaoyu and knew how strong he was. Although he hadn't yet reached the imageless realm, he'd already walked extremely far into the realm of Tao attainment. He was only separated by a thin sheet of paper from the last of the 9 major realms. No one knew whether Lu Xiaoyu would eventually reach the imageless realm. If he did, he'd become a formidable foe. Add to that the fact that he was the creator of the 3,000 universes, and the demon race might very well be suppressed once more. Jiang Chen would follow in their footsteps, just like in the primordial era. Today, Jiang Chen had already reached the entrance to the 17th layer of hell. All he needed to do was merge with the last 2 strands of his nascent spirit and he'd quickly return to his peak. However, Lu Xiaoyu hadn't made any moves for so long. This was what worried Jiang Chen the most. No matter what, Jiang Chen refused to believe that Lu Xiaoyu didn't have any tricks up his sleeve. How could such an expert sit idly by and watch as he recovered and the demon race rose to prominence? The more he didn't make any moves, the more uneasy Jiang Chen felt. Your Excellency, there's no need to worry. So long as he merges with the last 2 strands of his nascent spirit, even if Lu Xiaoyu reaches the imageless realm, there's no need to worry. I refuse to believe that he'll be like Pangu and Exalted Celestial and have the courage to fight to the death and perish together with our demon race. After all, he's a Hotian life form, not a primal chaos life form. He attaches great importance to matters of life and death. How could he possibly abandon the boundless prosperity of this world? Besides, how could the imageless realm be so easily attained? Chen Yan suddenly laughed sinisterly, emanating a sinister aura. His deduction wasn't without reason. Since time immemorial, only fiend gods who'd emerged from the primal chaos had been able to reach the imageless realm. Yet Lu Xiaoyu was merely a Hotian life form. There was still a Xiantian life form between him and a primal chaos life form. Such a gap was enough to form a natural chasm that blocked his path. It was a crucial factor that prevented him from taking that final step. If it wasn't for the imageless realm, then how could he fight his excellency? Lu Xiaoyu, he isn't a simple figure. But it's good as well. Only with his existence would the demon race have a challenge. Otherwise, even if we annihilate the 33 heavens and take control of all the worlds, what meaning would there be if we had one less opponent to fight for? Jiang Chen lowered his eyes slightly and said in a light voice, I think that he'll definitely not be willing to suppress me, nor will he sacrifice himself for the benefit of others like Pangu and Exalted Celestial did, right? As soon as these words were spoken, Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yan were stunned. My lord, what do you mean? Dong Li Qihuang frowned and asked carefully. Chen Yen raised his head and looked at the side of Jiangxin's face, and he wanted to hear Jiangxin's answer. The outcome he wants is probably to directly kill me and put an end to all future troubles. If it's just a simple suppression, then he could have made a move since we met at the first level of hell. Jiangxin explained in this way. When Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yen heard this, they fell silent. They had to admit that Lu Xiaoyu was extremely powerful. Not to mention the fact that he could directly suppress Jiangxin when they met in the first level of hell. Even now that Jiangxin had fused 16 nascent spirits, it would be difficult for him to defeat Lu Xiaoyu. They both knew that Lu Xiaoyu must have had his own plans all these years. Just as His Excellency had said, Lu Xiaoyu's goal was to truly kill His Excellency and not simply suppress him. Lu Xiaoyu wanted to completely erase His Excellency from this world, pacify the 33 heavens, and prevent the 3,000 boundless worlds from falling into chaos. Du Xiaofu. The key to all of this lies with Du Xiaofu. Chen Yan's gaze suddenly turned gloomy. He couldn't help but grit his teeth and spit out hatefully. That brat should have died long ago, but he's actually still alive today. The words, Du Xiaofu, caused Dong Li Qihuang's expression to turn extremely unsightly. The two of them had formed an irreconcilable enmity with Du Xiaofu since the early days of the divine martial world. After arriving in the 33 heavens, they'd repeatedly tried to kill Du Xiaofu, but to no avail. There was no lack of past grudges between them, but even more so, they wanted to get rid of the demon race. However, the results each time disappointed them greatly. Their hatred for Du Xiaofu only grew deeper and deeper. At first, Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yen didn't dare publicize this matter because of Du Xiaofu's friendship with Jiangxin. Later, however, they learned that everything they'd done had been tacitly approved by Jiangxin. Du Xiaofu. Jiangxin's expression returned to its usual calm and indifference. He muttered Du Xiaofu's name. Their friendship with this young man had long since faded. Their past camaraderie had vanished like smoke in thin air after that attack. However, Du Xiaofu had grown too quickly. If he was allowed to continue breaking through, he'd become a huge threat to Jiangxin. He's already entered the 18th layer of hell. You two should go stop him. Jiangxin suddenly turned his head and said to Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yen, "Don't worry." Him? Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yen were shocked, and they glanced at each other. They hadn't received any news that Du Xiaofu had entered the 18th layer of hell. Now that Jiangxin mentioned it, how could they not be surprised? This time, the 33 heavens have turned out in full force. Millions of imperishable and over 200 seated forgetful experts. This kind of strength is enough to shake the entire 18th layer of hell. If no Tao realization experts appear, who can stop them? Jiangxin sighed softly, then said, "You may go. There's no need to try to kill Du Xiaofu. He's not someone you can kill. Just keep him outside the 17th layer of hell. Once I've merged with all of my nascent divinities, I'll personally suppress Du Xiaofu." After he finished speaking, Jiangxin's figure flickered and gradually blurred. A moment later, he vanished from where he'd been standing, leaving no trace behind. Not far away, where the blazing seal was, demonic chi roiled even more fiercely. Sizzling sounds rang out incessantly. Chapter 2908. After Jiangxin's figure vanished, Dong Li Qihuang and Chen Yen stood on the spot and didn't speak for a long time. They were constantly looking at the blazing flames before them, and their eyes didn't even move. After a long time, they saw a wisp of a fierce expression appear on Dong Li Qihuang's face. Du Xiaofu. He gritted his teeth fiercely and said hatefully, "You actually dared to enter the 18th level of hell. You're simply courting death." As soon as Dong Li Qihuang finished speaking, an expanse of dense devilish qi that contained boundless blood surged out from his body, and it swiftly swept towards the surroundings. It shook the space here to the point expanse after expanse of chaotic state appeared, and it seemed extremely terrifying. Chen Yen stood at the side with a savage expression as well, and he seemed to be filled with extreme hatred. No matter what, they'd never imagined that Du Xiaofu would actually dare to enter the 18th level of hell and enter the territory of the devil race. In the outside world, there were countless experts protecting him, so they were unable to kill that kid. But in the 18th level of hell, it couldn't be any easier to annihilate him. It isn't just Du Xiaofu, the 33 heavens have set out on a large scale as well. Since they dared to come, then how could our devil race not entertain them properly? Chen Yan's gaze was ghastly, his voice was heavy, and killing intent shot out. Only someone with his cultivation would be able to sense more things and find out that Du Xiaofu had led the experts of the 33 heavens into the 18th level of hell. They really are audacious. They seem to not take our devil race seriously at all. Dongli Qihuang spoke once more with a heavy tone. Is Du Xiaofu really unkillable? I don't believe that our devil race is unable to do anything to him in the 18th level of hell. Chen Yan's expression changed once more as he spoke gloomily. It had been almost 1,000 years since they were chased by Du Xiaofu. Not only had the demon ancestors successfully merged the 16 primordial spirits, the two of them had also recovered their strength and were no longer the same as before. Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan felt that with their current cultivations, it probably wouldn't be too difficult for them to kill Du Xiaofu. Even though that kid's talent was outstanding and it was hard to find a match in the world, his cultivation time was still limited. Relatively speaking, after the two of them had awakened their memories, they had improved at an incomparably fast speed. It was impossible for them to be slower than Du Xiaofu's cultivation. However, Lord Jiangchen had said that there was no need to try and kill Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was a freak. No matter how difficult the situation was, he would always have the help of experts, and even counterattack. However, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan didn't believe this. They didn't have to kill Du Xiaofu, but at least they had to give it a try. Even if he failed, he would naturally look for Du Xiaofu after he had merged all 18 primordial spirits. Let's go and meet Du Xiaofu. I really want to see how far that brat has come. Dongli Qihuang said coldly. Then he glanced at Chen Yan, charged out, and flashed into the distance. 200+ meditators and millions of immortals. 33 heavens, what a grand display. But I'm afraid the results this time will disappoint all of you, because you'll pay a painful price for your actions. Chen Yan muttered while his figure gradually faded away as he spoke, and then he vanished from this area without a trace. Only his ferocious voice was left behind, and it reverberated through space. If the demon generals take action, they'll definitely make it so that you won't be able to return alive. The 33 heavens hadn't sensed the huge commotion in the 18 layers of hell. Everything proceeded as usual. Countless living beings were filled with anticipation. They were looking forward to the experts who had charged into the 18 layers of hell to finally defeat the ferocious demons and return victorious. What they didn't know was that Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Chu Daoju, Long Ke, and the other experts of the 33 heavens had encountered no small amount of trouble. Of course, there were still experts in this world who could clearly see things that ordinary people couldn't. For example, the master of the 3,000 universes, Lu Xiaoyu, who possessed the realm of Tao. At this very moment, he stood towering in a boundless expanse of starry sky. Around him, numerous stars floated up and down, circling and circling around him. Next to him stood a young man in golden robes. It was Lu Xiaoyu's best friend, Long Xian. The demon has broken through another seal. Once he succeeds, his strength will definitely improve greatly. Boss, are you sure we want to take a gamble and not directly suppress him? If we don't act now, we won't have another chance. Xiaolong frowned deeply as he spoke to the azure-robed man beside him. When Jiangchen broke through the 17th layer of Hell's seal, a mysterious power had been transmitted into this space. It was also from that moment onwards that the countless stars in this star field began to change their orbits. Terrifying energy surged out from them, causing a huge impact. In just a short period of time, countless stars deviated from their original orbits and began to recklessly charge through the vast expanse of space. Xiaolong sensed that it wouldn't be long before a world-destroying storm descended upon this galaxy. When that happened, chaos would break out everywhere. Perhaps the entire universe would be destroyed. If I wanted to suppress the demon ancestor, I would have acted long ago. There was no need to wait until now, said Lu Xiaoyu softly. However, at that time, the 18 layers of Hell's seal were still intact. If I had attacked the demon ancestor there, I would have definitely shaken the seal and caused the demons to rebel prematurely. But now, there's no stopping them. The demon ancestor has broken through the 17th layer of Hell's seal. It'll be very difficult for us to stop the demons' advance. You should know that they don't only have the demon ancestor, they also have a few demon generals who've broken through their seals. His words carried traces of worry, as if they were also filled with worry. The great demon generals are all ruthless characters. In addition, the blood ancestor who fled into hell is a Tao-bearing realm powerhouse. Xiaolong couldn't help but smack his lips. Thinking of how terrifying the demons were, he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. My junior brother's actions have also aroused the demon ancestor's interest. The demons will definitely send a large number of powerhouses to stop them. If the demon generals take action, their fate won't be optimistic. Fortunately, the people of the 3,000 boundless worlds have already arrived and are ready to enter the 18 layers of hell at any time. With the help of so many powerhouses, the millions of beings in the 33 heavens will have a real chance to fight the demons, said Lu Xiaoyu again. As the ruler of the 3,000 boundless worlds, there were many powerhouses who had come to the 33 heavens. Moreover, they had already made preparations and arrangements to directly enter the 18 layers of hell and help Du Xiaofu and the others to break through the 18 layers of hell and resist the demons' next move. Since that's the case, we don't need to wait any longer. Let's start making arrangements. However, once these methods are used, the 18 layers of hell will become a land of death. One can only enter but not leave. If the people inside encounter great trouble, even their path of retreat will be lost. Xiaolong lowered his head slightly and said worriedly. No one was clearer than him about the arrangements Lu Xiaoyu had made. He knew very well that once the boss used a great deal of power, all the demons would be trapped in the 18 layers of hell, making it impossible for them to take a single step into the 33 heavens. In this way, no matter how fierce and terrifying the demons were, if they wanted to slaughter the outside world on a large scale, they would have to pay a great price to break through the boss's arrangements. However, doing this also had a corresponding disadvantage. That was, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens in the 18 layers of hell would have no way of retreat. Once they encountered danger, they would not be able to return to the outside world. And this was what Xiaolong was most worried about. I've already made countless deductions. Our chances of winning are still relatively high. However, all of this will depend on whether or not my junior brother can live up to our expectations. Lu Xiaoyu was silent for a moment and then said, the plan has already begun, there is no need to rashly stop. The collapse of the 18 layers of hell is inevitable, and no one can stop it. In fact, the people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds combined are enough to resist the demons. The only thing we need to worry about is the demon ancestor. He is our greatest enemy. Xiaolong heard this and nodded slightly, not continuing to speak. Let's begin. Lu Xiaoyu did not speak anymore, but his face became serious as he earnestly said. Then he stood there. His body clearly did not change, but inexplicably he seemed to have become even taller and more majestic. Huff! His blue robes suddenly straightened and fluttered in the wind. A special rhythm floated around his body, resonating with the surrounding void. It was incomparably wonderful. At this moment, a different kind of charm of the great Tao was born in this starry sky. It seemed somewhat incompatible with all existence, but it seemed to be able to perfectly combine together. This was a very contradictory feeling, but it was truly happening. Seeing Lu Xiaoyu move, Xiaolong silently retreated to the distance and quietly watched, not daring to disturb him in the slightest. Whoosh! Lu Xiaoyu stretched out an arm and drew a line in the void. Tens of thousands of brilliant rays of light shot out from his palm and fingers. These rays of light were like waterfalls, forming a belt of light. After flying into the void, they emitted a mysterious power. There were patterns of the great Tao circulating, there was chaos being born, and there were all kinds of things being transformed. This kind of power entered the surrounding starry sky and connected with countless stars. In the next moment, a terrifying scene occurred. The stars that were originally deviating from their trajectories were actually beginning to be controlled by Lu Xiaoyu. Rumble, countless stars, drawing countless trajectories, like beads being pulled by strings, were all under Lu Xiaoyu's control, emitting a loud roar. Swoosh! At this time, Lu Xiaoyu's other hand stretched out, and another ray of light shot out. The same scene occurred in the other half of the starry sky. His 10 fingers moved continuously, as if he was playing the strings of a zither. The stars began to revolve on completely new trajectories, walking on completely different trajectories from before. Along with the occurrence of such a situation, a strand of extremely terrifying suppressive force suddenly arose throughout the entire starry sky. Long Xian, who stood some distance away from Lu Xiaoyu, felt his body tighten under this suppressive force, and an indescribable feeling of discomfort welled up within him. Using the seal set by Pangu all those years ago to create a completely new formation. Only Boss would dare to do something like this. Xiaolong thought to himself as he looked at the green-robed figure with shining eyes. This was truly a crazy move. The seal set by Pangu was capable of suppressing even the demon ancestor's primordial spirit. His boss, on the other hand, was taking advantage of the fact that Jiangchen had destroyed the seal to create a new formation, once again sealing the 18 layers of hell. However, the changes in the trajectories of the stars were only the beginning. What he had to do next, the price he had to pay would be incomparably great. While Xiaolong pondered, Lu Xiaoyu's actions didn't stop. He attacked again, and the chaotic starry sky quickly fell under his control. Rumble. The giant stars hummed as they moved, carrying with them unparalleled power as they streaked across the starry sky in mysterious trajectories. And between these different trajectories, there was a secret connection. As time passed, Xiaolong could clearly feel the suppressive force on his body growing stronger and stronger. I'm afraid it won't be long before my cultivation is severed. Xiaolong muttered to himself, deeply shaken. His cultivation was being severed and suppressed. This situation was no different from the divine battle world he'd visited all those years ago. However, it wouldn't be easy for Boss to achieve the same effect as in the divine battle world. The suppressive force of this starry sky has greatly increased. I'm afraid the restrictions on Earth will gradually be removed. Xiaolong suddenly looked in a certain direction. His gaze pierced through the boundless space, and he saw a light blue folded world. That was his senior apprentice brother Lu Xiaoyu's first home, the world called Earth. To the humans of that world, the starry sky was a boundless existence. It was impossible to see the end of it. However, in the eyes of a powerhouse like Xiaolong, although the starry sky was incomparably vast, there was an end to it. The existence of Earth was the center of this space. No matter what kind of starry sky they formed, or what kind of trajectories they evolved into, fundamentally speaking, they all revolved around Earth. Earth was the foundation of all existence, the center of all the stars. While Boss was mobilizing the power of the surrounding starry sky, Earth was also undergoing some subtle changes. It was as if some mysterious power was gradually awakening in the not-so-vast land and sea. Mortals couldn't sense it, but Xiaolong could clearly sense that some spiritual energy was being released from Earth. Although it wasn't particularly dense, it was something that had never happened before. Chapter 2909. The world of Earth produced traces of brand new spiritual energy, which made Xiaolong's heart throb. He knew a lot about that world. It was a special existence, different from all the other worlds. In this vast universe, countless stars revolved around it as the center, and the world of Earth was constantly sending tyrannical energy into the 18 levels of hell through the trajectory of the great array formed by billions of stars. In other words, the existence of the world of Earth was the core that suppressed the 18 levels of hell. At this moment, as Lu Xiaoyu set up the array in the starry sky, the stars began to revolve in a brand new orbit. Star regions were being transformed by him, changing all the rules and order. As for the world of Earth, it was as if it was isolated outside. Its invisible connection with the boundless starry sky was directly cut off. In other words, The center of the entire starry sky had become Lu Xiaoyu himself. Boundless energy surged in his body, gushing out mightily like surging and roaring rivers, rushing in all directions into the boundless starry sky. As the stars revolved, this energy also followed a special path and entered another area, where the 18 levels of hell were located. This kind of consumption is too great for boss. It's time to take out that thing. Xiaolong watched from afar and saw Lu Xiaoyu's aura fluctuating, causing a huge roar. The energy within his body was like a flood that had broken through a dam, and it surged and whistled through the surroundings. The surrounding space transformed into expanses of chaos, causing him to seem like a god of chaos, and it was extremely terrifying. However, Xiaolong knew that although boss looked domineering and dignified, in reality, the energy in his body was being drained at a terrifying rate. This was the array set up by the great god Pangu in ancient times. It was extraordinary. If boss wanted to remake this starry sky and replace the role of the world of Earth to suppress the 18 levels of hell, he would naturally have to pay a huge price. However, they had already expected all of this and were prepared for it. As long as all the stars entered their proper orbits, boss would be able to escape unscathed if he took out that thing again. At that time, the entire 18 levels of hell would become an incomparably huge cage, trapping countless demons. They could only enter, but not leave. Xiaolong didn't disturb Lu Xiaoyu, only watching quietly from afar. Time passed slowly, and he knew that this arrangement would take a lot of time to complete. Within the 18 levels of hell, Du Xiaofu and the others had already entered the 11th level. In the first 10 levels, the number of demon race powerhouses they encountered increased with every level they advanced. This time, they had encountered a huge problem. Dozens of seated experts, along with hundreds of thousands of immortal realms, appeared. This was not a simple matter of the 33 Heavens group. But this was not the most terrifying thing. What made Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others feel the most serious was that they sensed the aura of the blood ancestor. After the old bird escaped from Lu Xiaoyu's hands, it directly rushed into the 18 layers of hell. They'd thought that it was very likely that they would encounter him in one of the levels of hell, but they really hadn't expected it to be so soon. I wonder how the blood ancestor is right now. If he attacks, we'll be in a very bad situation. Du Xiaofu looked around and said. They had sensed Blood Lord Blood's aura, but that old ghost hadn't appeared yet. It was likely that he had been seriously injured by Lu Xiaoyu and was still recuperating. Even so, an injured Blood Lord Blood was still terrifying enough to pose a fatal threat to millions of people. That mixed old bird is seriously injured. Even if he comes out, we may still be able to put up a fight. Lu Jingyun said. At the same time, his whole body exuded a strong fighting spirit. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked at his senior brother's eldest son, slightly surprised. He knew that although Lu Jingyun was very domineering, he wasn't an arrogant person. Since he could say such words, it meant that he had a certain degree of confidence. He wasn't just talking nonsense. Perhaps, if a group of third-stage meditative realm cultivators joined forces, they might really be able to put up a fight against the injured Blood Lord. As for Lu Jingyun, Lu Yushao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others, they had already walked to the ranks of the strongest in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. In the entire world, the number of people who could be stronger than them could be counted with one's fingers. Only a few people from their father's generation could do so. Therefore, if Blood Lord Blood appeared now, it would be a good opportunity for many young cultivators to accept the challenge and train themselves. If they could win in the end, it would bring them endless benefits. Let's wait until Blood Lord Blood appears. For now, let's flatten the 11th level of hell. Long Ke's eyes flashed. His tall and straight figure rushed out and killed his way to the side of a third-stage meditative realm cultivator. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar burst out from Long Ke's mouth. It reverberated in the void, causing the space to shake violently as if it was about to collapse. As his roar fell, the power of the great Tao circulated. It was so powerful that it caused the heavens to collapse and the earth to sink. No one knew how many weak demons were blasted into a bloody mist by this roar. Countless people quickly fled as if they were avoiding snakes and scorpions. They wanted to get away from Long K. Kill. Opposite Long K, the third stage meditative realm cultivator let out a fierce roar that shook the void. The two of them quickly engaged in a fierce battle. Waves of tyrannical and boundless energy descended like a tsunami, destroying the heavens and the earth. Dozens of meditative realm cultivators. None of them can be left alive. Du Xiaofu's eyes shot out two rays of intense light that swept across the surroundings. He held the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand and attacked. Every time he swung the broadsword in his hand, an incomparably terrifying abyss crack appeared. Chaotic energy filled the air. Countless cultivators let out terrifying roars that tore the heavens and split the earth, piercing through the universe. The great battle began once again. Every living being threw themselves into the battle, their killing intent shaking the world. This time, the resistance they encountered was far more intense than before. Fortunately, the demon race didn't have the advantage in numbers. Thus, the battle was still in a one-sided state. The life forms of the 33 heavens were completely suppressing the demons. However, many people gradually felt more and more emotions in their hearts. They knew that the deeper they went into the 18th level of hell, the more terrifying the resistance they would encounter. Perhaps if they went down 1 or 2 levels, the millions of people in the 33 heavens would become exhausted. At that time, it would be the most dangerous situation. The slaughter in the 11th level of hell continued. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Chu Daoju, and the others were constantly pushing deeper into the 11th level of hell as they fought. They wanted to find the entrance to the 12th level of hell. And in the depths of the 18th level of hell, the demons began to gather in large numbers. Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan led many seated forgetfulness and immortal realm experts of the demon race from the 16th level of hell. They were rushing towards the place where Du Xiaofu and the others were. In addition to these demons, several demon generals were also awakened by the 2 great demon attendants. They were also following along. Du Xiaofu, this time you will die without a doubt. As they passed through hell, Dongli Chuang's eyes emitted an ominous glint as he gritted his teeth and said hatefully. It would not be long before they would encounter the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. At that time, Du Xiaofu and the others would pay with their lives for everything they had done. The only thing they needed to worry about was that the master of the 3,000 great worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, would suddenly appear. Otherwise, Du Xiaofu would not have any chance of escaping. Perhaps if Dongli Chihuang knew that Lu Xiaoyu was currently fiddling with the seal outside the 18th level of hell and wouldn't be able to enter in a short amount of time, he might be even more confident in killing Du Xiaofu. A massacre was taking place in the 11th level of hell. Countless demons were on the move in the 16th level of hell. At the same time, something else was happening at the entrance to the 17th level of hell. Surrounded by boundless hellfire, Jiangchen had transformed into his true form. He was no longer in human form. His current form was vastly different from the golden fur Ho of the past. He only retained his basic form. The scarlet fur on its body appeared to have been dyed by fresh blood as it emitted an intense scarlet aura. It appeared as though numerous tiny snakes were dancing in the air. A powerful fishy stench was emitted from its ugly and ferocious mouth and teeth, causing one to feel nauseous upon smelling it. Jiangchen's entire body radiated an unconcealable aura of slaughter. Even if one approached him, their hearts would tremble for no reason. He lowered his head slightly and looked down. Red light shot out of his eyes and pierced through the void. Everywhere he looked, there was a sea of flames. It was so terrifying that it seemed capable of incinerating everything. I've finally found the 17th nascent divinity. Jiangchen's voice rumbled from his throat. His hairy hands abruptly opened and pulled at the air. Crackle! After the sound of silk being torn apart, the terrifying flame was like a curtain being torn apart, revealing a strange scene. It looked like a large lake that quietly appeared there, and the lake water was in a state of chaos. Jiangchen stepped through the void, his feet crossing the void. In an instant he arrived in the air above the lake. The surface of the lake was calm, like the surface of a mirror, reflecting his burly and terrifying figure. It's time to fuse with the 17th nascent divinity. Once I succeed, no one in the 33 heavens or the 3,000 realms will be able to do anything to me. As these sinister words left his mouth, Jiangchen's figure descended into the lake. Strangely, when he touched the water, not even the slightest ripple appeared. It didn't even sway. Not even a ripple could be seen. Crackle, crackle, crackle. However, a moment later, where Jiangchen's feet touched the lake, wisps of green smoke rose from them. It was as if they were being melted away. The clumps of red hair on the soles of his feet burst into flames and turned to ash. It was obvious that there was a terrifying power in the lake that was attacking his body. However, because Jiangchen's body was isolated from the outside world, this mysterious, terrifying power couldn't cause him any real harm. Jiangchen's body gradually sank into the lake. However, the process was incomparably slow. It took several years for the water to reach his knees. During this time, Jiangchen's aura had weakened considerably. Obviously, while resisting the terrifying power, he'd consumed a frightening amount of energy. Time passed quickly. Jiangchen remained motionless, but as time passed, his body was gradually submerged by the lake. During this time, in the starry sky outside the 18 hells, Lu Xiaoyu had been continuously weaving mysterious star orbits for many years. He had not stopped for many years. Now, on his handsome and slightly dignified face, there were a few drops of sweat. However, what was shocking was that the entire starry sky had undergone tremendous changes. Brand new star fields were formed, and the stars were orbiting in completely different orbits. As all of this took shape, an even more terrifying and vast power surged forth. It vaguely formed a giant net that trapped the 18 hells within. Apart from this, the most obvious change was to Earth. This world will gradually usher in a great change. Xiaolong stood a distance away from Lu Xiaoyu, watching him do all this. He was powerless to help. All he could do was constantly observe the changes around him. His eyes flashed as he looked at Earth. Although there hadn't been any obvious changes yet, Xiaolong knew that as time passed, Earth would reveal unparalleled potential. At this moment, the spiritual energy that emerged was not boundless. However, it was like a fuse that ignited some kind of hidden opportunity. When the time came, Earth would erupt like a mountain torrent, unstoppable. All of the living beings in that world would benefit immensely. The new great formation has already taken shape. It's time for Boss to withdraw. If this continues, I'm afraid it'll affect his cultivation foundation. Xiaolong retracted his gaze and looked back at Lu Xiaoyu. His brows furrowed tightly as he muttered to himself. Right now, the entire universe revolved around Boss. He was the one who'd replaced Earth. Because of this, the power of the 18 Hells Great Formation had been transferred from Earth to Lu Xiaoyu. Every time the Great Formation took shape, more power was needed to maintain it. Even a Dao-carrying realm expert would find it difficult to endure such an enormous consumption for long periods of time. If Boss didn't withdraw in time, it would inevitably cause irreparable damage to his cultivation. Because of this, Xiaolong couldn't help but feel a little worried. However, just as he finished speaking, Lu Xiaoyu, who had been engraving invisible runes and laws, suddenly withdrew his hands. Boss! Xiaolong was overjoyed. Seeing this, he knew what Boss was going to do next and finally felt relieved. Under Xiaolong's gaze, invisible lines appeared all over Lu Xiaoyu's body, connecting with the surrounding starry sky. Vast and unparalleled energy was constantly drawn out from his body to maintain the operation of the Great Formation. Then, a bright light suddenly rose from Lu Xiaoyu's body, like 10 suns in the sky, scorching everyone's eyes. This light was incomparably fierce. Even a powerhouse like Dragon God felt a stinging pain in his eyes and could only turn his back. Lu Xiaoyu's figure was covered in boundless strong light, like a burning sun. His entire figure was difficult to see clearly. Imperceptibly, the surrounding star fields suddenly sped up a bit, as if they had been injected with a cardiac stimulant. The power was even more vast, gushing out from where Lu Xiaoyu was. Swoosh! Suddenly, A figure flashed out from the blazing light and immediately shot into the distance, retreating to the side. "Boss, how are you?" Xiaolong sensed the situation and quickly rushed to the side of the figure, asking nervously. Beside him, the figure was Lu Xiaoyu. At this time, he seemed to be exhausted, slightly bent at the waist, looking exhausted. "I'm fine, don't worry." Seeing Xiaolong's concerned eyes, Lu Xiaoyu gently waved his hand and said to him. He took a few deep breaths and then looked at the position of the ball of light again. Stealing the sky and changing the sun, grafting flowers on trees, success. The corners of Lu Xiaoyu's mouth couldn't help but curl up into a smile. Looking at the ball of light, he revealed a satisfied expression. After he left, the ball of light dimmed slightly, no longer as bright and dazzling as before, but the energy it released did not decrease in the slightest. This is the chaos origin that great god Pangu had back then. It's a pity to use it here. Xiaolong also turned around and looked at the ball of light with a pained expression on his face. That's right, that ball of intense light was something left behind by the great god Pangu in ancient times. It was the chaos origin that he had nurtured. Lu Xiaoyu used this object to use the stealing the sky and changing the sun method. First, he used his own body to replace the role of the earth world. Then he left and used this ball of chaos origin to replace the power of the great array. Under the effect of this chaos origin, the entire starry sky great array operated without hindrance, and its power was even more vigorous and boundless. It was firmly sealed outside the 18 levels of hell, turning that place into a cage. It's a pity, but this thing belongs to someone else, and it's not something I cultivated myself. If I use it to improve myself, it's not a safe move. After a short rest, Lu Xiaoyu's complexion recovered a little. He spoke softly to Xiaolong beside him. You can't find a second treasure like this in the world. But it's a pity, being able to use its power to deal with the devil race is worthy of great god Pangu. Xiaolong nodded and said seriously, I just don't know how long this ball of chaos origin can last. I hope that before its power is exhausted, we can uproot the devil race. Chapter 29:10. Hearing Xiaolong's words, Lu Xiaoyu fell into a temporary silence and did not speak. After a long time, he slowly raised his head and said, whether we can eliminate the demon race before the chaos source left by the great god Pangu is exhausted, that will depend on the will of the heavens. If the demon race breaks through the seal of the 18 levels of hell, it will be a terrible disaster for the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. There was a trace of worry between his brows. He was absolutely unwilling to see such a situation. After making such a huge sacrifice, the chaos source left behind by the enchanting realm powerhouse was a unique treasure in the world. Even if he did not use it, it could definitely bring unimaginable benefits to his family and friends. If he used it to deal with the demon race here and still could not trap them in the 18 levels of hell, it would definitely not be a good thing. But this was not impossible. The demon race was too strong, especially the demon ancestor. He was an existence that walked out of the chaos in ancient times. Even before his strength recovered, Lu Xiaoyu could not kill him. And in order to completely eliminate this huge disaster, Lu Xiaoyu was really gambling. The demon race. After all, that is a race that lives by killing. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds cannot have any morality to speak of with them. The meaning of their existence is to kill. They only want blood. Xiaolong sighed slightly and said, everyone hated the demon race. Once they encountered them, they would not rest until they were dead. Either the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds perish together and become a demon domain, or the 18 levels of hell are raised by billions of creatures, killing the demon ancestor and clearing the universe. Besides these two, there was no other way. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the demon race of the 18 levels of hell absolutely could not coexist. Don't worry too much now. There are still some secrets in this world that we don't know. If we want to kill the demon ancestor and eliminate the demon race, perhaps there are other ways. There will be a way when the time comes. Everything will have a conclusion. Lu Xiaoyu suddenly smiled and said to his best brother beside him. At this time, His complexion was still not very good. Laying down this terrifying starry sky formation consumed too much of his strength. Lu Xiaoyu smiled slightly, and Xiaolong also listened calmly, not showing any abnormalities. However, if Lu Xiaoyu's words were heard by other beings, they would be shocked. There were still secrets in this world that Lu Xiaoyu didn't know about? It had to be known that in the 33 heavens, the 3,000 boundless worlds, and the 18 layers of hell, these 3 boundless great worlds, this was the strongest known powerhouse. He was in existence at the Tao vessel realm, and he'd walked his own path of the Grand Tao and escaped the shackles and restraints of the heavens and the earth. He'd condensed his own quintessence energy of chaos step by step, and it was extremely terrifying. Before the ancestor devil and ancestor blood recovered, Hu Xiaoyu was definitely the strongest. It could be said that whether it was the 33 heavens, the 3,000 great worlds, or the 18 hells, as long as it was a place he wanted to go, there was absolutely no power that could stop him. No matter how big the secret in this world was in front of him, it was like there was only a thin veil between them. He only needed to casually wave his hand, and he could pry into it to his heart's content. However, from his mouth, he said that there were still secrets in the world that could not be known. If one really wanted to talk about it, it was likely that before the creation of the heavens and earth, before the primal chaos, or even before the primal chaos, Lu Xiaoyu could not explore. Indeed, the primal chaos had given birth to the 3,000 gods and demons, but where did the primal chaos come from? Boss is right. Let's take a step at a time. In any case, no matter what, we absolutely cannot allow the demon race to once again step into the 33 heavens and threaten the 3,000 great worlds. Xiaolong deeply nodded, a deep and resplendent light bursting out from his eyes as he spoke in a loud and clear voice. As one of the few powerhouses in this world, Xiaolong and Lu Xiaoyu were the same. Everything they did was to protect those they cared about and fulfill their responsibilities. They absolutely could not allow the demon race to harm their loved ones and loved ones. The 18 layers of hell are also very lively at this time. Lu Xiaoyu nodded, at the same time expressing his approval of Xiaolong's words. His eyes gazed into the void as if he could see through the boundless space and into the 11th level of the 18 levels of hell. He saw Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, Chu Daoju, and the other experts from the 3,000 greater worlds, the 33 heavens, and the Devil Clan. It was as if he knew everything there like the back of his hand. Boss, we should also quickly enter the 18 layers of hell. If we let that brat Du Xiaofu lead his people to cause trouble, I'm afraid it won't be long before we encounter even greater trouble. At that time, with the strength of those people, they really won't be able to deal with it. Xiaolong glanced at his boss and asked. He naturally knew how terrifying the demon race was. Although the powerhouses of the 33 heavens were also incomparably powerful, after all, they did not have a single Tao-bearing realm expert. If the Blood Ancestor, several demon generals, or even the demon ancestor personally appeared, they would bring an unimaginable threat to these people. And if more than one Tao-bearing realm expert appeared at the same time, then the millions of people would definitely not be able to escape. In addition, Boss had just laid down a great array to trap the 18 layers of hell, so they could only enter but not leave. As such, even if they wanted to escape, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens would have no way out. No need to worry, they can still barely cope for the time being. The people of the 3,000 great worlds have already arrived. I've already sent a message to them to directly enter the 18 layers of hell and help the people of the 33 heavens. Lu Xiaoyu waved his hand, indicating that Xiaolong did not need to worry. He had always been planning and had a card up his sleeve. As long as there were no major changes, there would not be any mistakes for the time being. We're not going in? Xiaolong raised an eyebrow at Lu Xiaoyu's words and asked in surprise. He had originally thought that Boss would enter the 18 layers of hell after finishing the matter here and meet up with the millions of powerhouses, or observe in the dark, ready to take action at the critical moment. But who would have thought that Boss did not seem to have any intention of entering the 18 layers of hell right away? This greatly surprised Xiaolong. We won't go in for the time being. That junior apprentice brother of mine still needs more intense tempering. If we interfere too much, then it won't be a good thing for his growth. After all, our plan is still counting on him. We can't let that boy live too comfortably." Lu Xiaoyu nodded and smiled. Then he changed the topic and said, "Senior has already entered that place for many years, but there hasn't been any news from him. I also want to go and investigate. Perhaps that place will allow us to obtain some shocking secrets." His eyes were deep and unhurried, as if he were immersed in some mysterious imagination. Xiaolong was startled. He naturally knew who the senior that Boss spoke of was. It was a powerhouse that was far more terrifying than Boss. In addition, that place was not some ordinary place. Although Xiaolong had never been there, he had heard Boss mention it more than once. He had long wanted to go and investigate it, but he had been stopped every time. "Boss, you're finally willing to take me there?" After being stunned for a moment, Xiaolong couldn't help but laugh mischievously, and he couldn't help but rub his hands together, seeming to be extremely excited. Lu Xiaoyu's brows raised abruptly as he looked at Xiaolong's appearance, and then he suddenly swung his palm out and slapped the back of Xiaolong's head. "Boss, you hit me again. At any rate, I'm a half-step enlightened realm expert now. How can I hold my head high before all the living beings in the 3,000 worlds if you treat me like this?" Xiaolong stared at Lu Xiaoyu with extreme dissatisfaction, and he held the back of his head with one hand, seeming to be extremely aggrieved. "I'm sorry, I couldn't restrain myself. I'm afraid I can't change this habit of mine after so many years." Lu Xiaoyu smiled mischievously, and then he said, "But I don't want to take you there when I saw your appearance just now." He smiled playfully and winked at Xiaolong a few times. "Don't, boss. We agreed just now, you can't go back on your word." Xiaolong hurriedly moved closer to Lu Xiaoyu, and he instantly tossed what had happened to the back of his mind. He didn't care about it in the slightest. He blinked his eyes and looked at Lu Xiaoyu with a pleading look, like an angry child. If such a scene was seen by other living beings, their eyeballs would probably pop out of their sockets. As a rare existence in this world, the dragon god, whose cultivation was extremely profound, actually showed such an attitude. It was really unbelievable. Seeing such a situation, Lu Xiaoyu smiled with satisfaction and patted Xiaolong's shoulder, saying, "I'm just teasing you. When has Boss ever gone back on his word to you? Let's go." Xiaolong nodded excitedly, and then the two figures flickered and disappeared from where they were. Only the boundless star field was left in their surroundings, and the ball of primal chaos source was constantly emitting a terrifying light that was blinding to the eyes. The stars in the sky were also slowly rotating, and majestic star fields were circling around everywhere in the universe. Their shapes were magnificent, and they were engraved with strange trajectories, weaving a terrifying power, and all of them were sent to the 18 layers of hell. Extremely far away, the world of Earth was also changing slowly. Although it didn't seem obvious in a short period of time, as time passed, it was enough to cause the entire world to undergo a fundamental transformation. In the 11th layer of hell, the great battle was still raging. The living beings of the 33 heavens were all tense, and everyone was ready for battle. Everyone knew that millions of top experts had killed their way into the 18 layers of hell, wanting to cut off the majority of the devil race's combat strength. And in this process, they hoped to obtain unexpected benefits, so as to reduce the devil race's slaughter of the 33 heavens in the future. But the living beings of the 33 heavens all knew that the path of those millions of experts would definitely not be smooth sailing. There would definitely be many people who would fall in the 18 layers of hell, never to walk out again. Billions of living beings all had their hearts in suspense, constantly paying attention to the situation in the fiend god battlefield. They wanted to obtain the situation inside as soon as possible. Some of the weaker living beings felt hot blood boiling in their hearts, and they couldn't help but feel excited at the thought of killing their way into the 18 layers of hell. But at the same time, they couldn't help but blame themselves. They blamed themselves for not being able to reach the immortal realm and follow the experts to slay the gods and devils. In the past few years, the supreme Changrong heaven had become more and more crowded, Almost all the experts of the 33 heavens who could make it here had rushed over, causing this world to be filled with people. In comparison, the other worlds of the 33 heavens were showing signs of desolation, and there was a sense of emptiness. But all of this, to the distant Shenwu world, was not affected at all. When Du Xiaofu returned in the past, he had uncovered a huge secret of this world, and at the same time obtained great benefits. Then he left again. But ever since that time, he had killed the 3 meditated experts of the beast race, and the experts of the outside world were shocked, and no more experts from the 33 heavens came in large numbers. Occasionally, some people would come to Shenwu world out of curiosity, but they didn't dare to do anything rash. What a joke! This world had a meditated expert guarding it, so who would dare to cause trouble here? The meditated old ancestors of the 33 heavens had all entered the fiend god battlefield and the 18 layers of hell. The few that stayed behind to guard it didn't have the heart to search for treasures at this critical juncture. Moreover, there were very few things in this world that could be useful to a meditated expert. Why would they waste time and effort to search for them? I wonder how Xiaofu and the others are doing now. In the desolate country, Du Tingxian came out of seclusion and gathered with Yi Wuming, Murong Yurhua, and the others. Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Jueyu, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaojing, Yi Piaoling, Chang Guyu, and the others were still in seclusion and hadn't come out for a long time. In the past few years, Shenwu world had become more and more powerful. Although in terms of scale, it didn't explosively expand like before, this kind of progress was still continuing. At the same time, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, as well as the treasures and elixirs, all rushed out, causing countless creatures to go crazy. As a result, the strength of everyone in this world was increasing by leaps and bounds. Compared to a few years ago, it was as if they were flying. Now, in Shenwu world, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, Du Xiaojing, Chang Guyu, and the others were close to the immortal realm. This time, Du Tingxian had encountered the final bottleneck and had just come out of seclusion. He wanted to change his state and concentrate on breaking through again. Such a terrifying speed of advancement made one's scalp tingle. Even in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, such a terrifying increase was absolutely unimaginable. But Du Tingxian and the others knew that this wasn't unimaginable. Before Du Xiaofu left, he had briefly told him that this world was constantly growing. In this process, the creatures and the world grew together, and the benefits obtained were immeasurable. It wasn't like the experts of the ancient 33 heavens, who seized the traces of the evolution of the great Tao and grasped all the 4 great primordial laws, but at the very least, they could pry into the laws of heaven and earth and the true meaning of the great Tao on a deeper level. This kind of opportunity wasn't something that could be found in any era. In the years when everyone was in seclusion, news came from the outside world. Xiaofu led millions of people from the 33 heavens and killed their way into the 18 levels of hell. Now, it's been about 300 years. Yi Wuming looked at Du Tingxian, thought for a moment, and said this. The affairs of the desolate country had always been managed by him. To Yi Lao, cultivation wasn't that important. His true goal was to give Du Xiaofu and the others a stable rear. Although after the devil god was killed and the great calamity of the devil cult was over, this world did not have any major changes, but if Yi Lao were to hand this matter over to the younger generation, he would not feel at ease no matter what. Therefore, Yi Lao was very familiar with the news from the outside world, and he remembered it all in his heart. It's been 300 years. Du Tingxian raised his head slightly and sighed. The starting point of our world's creatures is too low. If we want to help Xiaofu, we are completely powerless. If we force our way into the 33 heavens, we will only become a burden. His expression contained an uncontrollable sense of desolation and helplessness. As Du Xiaofu's father, what he wanted most was to stand by his son's side at this time and fight side by side with him against the devil race. However, including himself, all the creatures of Shenwu world were far from strong enough. Perhaps they could enter the 33 heavens to gain experience during peaceful times, but if they wanted to participate in the war against the devil race, they were too weak. Therefore, many people were doing their best to increase their cultivation, striving to break through to a higher level as soon as possible and enter the 33 heavens, or even the 18 layers of hell to resist the devil race. Apart from the desolate country, the creatures of the other forces also had similar thoughts. However, they didn't want to become the right hand of the Rock Emperor, but at the very least, they wanted to be qualified to fight against the devil race. The 33 heavens are now preparing for war, but the real war hasn't broken out yet. Only the millions of immortal and seeded forgetful have entered the 18 layers of hell. I hope nothing happens to Xiaofu, little Xingxing, and little Yao. We don't need to think too much about it now, just cultivate hard. Murong Yorua's red lips parted as she paced around the hall. Du Tingxian, Yi Wuming, and the others nodded in agreement. They really didn't have the energy to worry about anything. Instead of wasting their energy on such useless things, they might as well study more about cultivation. Just as everyone fell into a momentary silence, the entire desolate nation's main hall suddenly trembled violently. It was as if an invisible hand was tightly grasping and shaking it. Rumble, a terrifying tremor was produced, and in a flash, it spread rapidly from the desolate country's imperial palace to other places in this world. Along with this tremor, an incomparably terrifying power of law intertwined wildly, causing the world to lose its color and the mountains and rivers to tremble. A complete primordial law. Someone is breaking through to the immortal realm. Du Dingshuan's eyes suddenly focused, and he rushed out of the main hall and into the sky. He lowered his head and looked around. In an instant, he found the source of all this. It's Xiaojing. She's breaking through to the immortal realm. Chapter 29:11. It's Xiaojing. She's breaking through to the immortal realm. Yi Wuming couldn't help but shout, his eyes filled with shock. To Shenwu world, to the desolate country, apart from Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing, there were no other immortal realm powerhouses. But those three people had all gone to the 33 heavens in their early years and obtained incomparably great lucky chances, allowing them to make breakthroughs at such a young age. Moreover, Du Xiaofu and the other two had outstanding talent, far surpassing the average person. They couldn't be lumped together. Therefore, to Shenwu world, Du Xiaojing's breakthrough was unprecedented and had great significance. Finally, someone from our Shenwu world can break through to the immortal realm. Not long after, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Chang Guyu, Jialo Jueyu, Du Yunlong, and the other desolate country powerhouses were all alarmed. They all came out of seclusion and came to the sky above the palace. Under everyone's gaze, in a certain area of the stone city, a bright light shot up into the sky and into the heavens. Amidst the raging aura, endless power of laws surged, like a tidal wave, shaking the 9 heavens. It's the matter law breaking through. Du Yunlong's eyes flashed as he looked at all this and muttered. He could clearly feel that within the energy waves, there was the power of the matter law. With Xiaojing's talent, it's a pity that she only broke through in the matter law. Zhen Qingchun smacked his lips. While he was excited, he also felt a bit of regret. Du Xiaojing's talent alone wasn't much lower than her brother Du Xiaofu's. It was just that the various opportunities and hardships she had encountered limited her growth. But everyone in this world thought that it was a pity for Du Xiaojing to break through to the immortal realm using only the matter law. Now, everyone in Shenwu world knew that after reaching the immortal realm, the power of laws would be fixed. It was almost impossible to break through in the other 3 primal laws. Because of this, Du Xiaofu suppressed his cultivation when he was in the truth-severing realm until he grasped all 4 primal laws. Only then did he break through to the immortal realm. Only then did he reach the immortal realm, the one and only void path. It's already not bad to break through to the immortal realm. There are countless powerhouses in the 33 heavens, but comparatively speaking, the immortal realm is the strongest. Who knows how many geniuses and geniuses? Not only the immortal realm, there are others, hence the void path. Du Tingxian was quite open-minded and said with a faint smile. His daughter being the first to the immortal realm too was the immortal realm. Although it's the immortal realm in the immortal realm, the immortal realm, and the immortal realms. As with the first, there will be more and more immortal realm immortals in the Shenwu world. When our world strength increases, we'll fight our way to the 33 heavens, enter the 18 levels of hell, and fight against the demons. Du Yunlong's cloud robe fluttered, and his body was filled with a strong desire to fight. Right now, he had reached the peak of the truth-severing late stage, and was not far from the immortal realm. As long as the right opportunity comes, he'll be able to break through. Just watch. The Shenwu world will not be a coward in the war against the demons. Jialo Jueyu's eyes also emitted a blazing aura, showing his dominance. This was the biggest wish of all living beings in the Shenwu world. Everyone wanted to fight side by side with Du Xiaofu, but the precondition was that they had enough strength. Everyone listened to Du Yunlong and Jialo Jueyu's words and fell silent, focusing their attention on the commotion caused by Du Xiaojing. As for what happened in the desolate country's imperial palace, it only took a short period of time for the experts in other places to sense it. This commotion, could it be an expert breaking through to the immortal realm? What powerful energy waves! He's definitely breaking through to the immortal realm. Sure, Shenwu world is finally going to have an immortal rank warrior. This fluctuation comes from the desolate nation. Let's go and take a look. We can't miss such a grand occasion. Very quickly, living beings from all over the Shenwu world rushed towards the desolate country, towards the direction of the terrifying ripples, towards the stone city. Many people were extremely excited. Being able to see the appearance of an immortal realm warrior made the entire divine martial world boil. With the arrival of countless experts, the desolate country became increasingly lively. Originally, the living beings of the 3 continents, Kyushu, and the other regions were all extremely excited. The experts of the various large factions had all rushed over to the desolate country. This is a good start. The first immortal rank warrior has appeared. Not long from now, the entire Shenwu world will explode. When the time comes, the number of immortal rank warriors in this world will be like the soul-seizing and truth-severing realms in the past. They will grow like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. A powerful cultivator from the Xianfu sect spoke, full of joy. Ever since the great calamity of the devil religion ended and Du Xiaofu and the others left the Shenwu world, this world had undergone tremendous changes. This was always the case. Every time the first elite cultivator of the desolate country made a breakthrough, the living beings of this realm would experience an explosive increase in strength. By now, the true severing realm was not a rare occurrence in this realm, and the ones walking at the front of all the living beings were still the people of the desolate country. One could imagine that once Du Xiaojing, as the first person, took this step, more and more people would take that step. Huff, huff, huff. Under everyone's gaze, the large expanse of light continued to emit. The power of laws was vast and mighty, shaking the void. The entire desolate country was enveloped in a terrifying wave of energy. It was terrifying. This scene was something that the living beings of this world had never seen before. They had only heard about it from Du Xiaofu and the others. And as time went on, the terrifying power of laws became more and more profound, rolling and surging. All the powerful cultivators quickly retreated into the distance, not daring to stay near the palace. This power of laws could affect the energy in their bodies. Everyone felt like their energy was being pulled, as if it was going to rush out uncontrollably. The power of laws that Du Xiaojing was emitting quickly reached a peak and did not continue to rise. However, just as everyone was thinking that all of this would continue until she truly made a breakthrough, the energy of the law of matter that filled the skies suddenly converged like flowing water and rapidly disappeared. What's going on? Why did everything suddenly stop? Xiaojing stopped breaking through. Did something strange happen? Oh no, could there be a problem with the breakthrough? Let's go take a look. Everyone was startled at first, then they all made such guesses. They were extremely shocked. If their guesses were correct, it was definitely not a good thing. Every time a cultivator broke through, it was accompanied by a huge risk. If it was light, the person would be injured, and if it was heavy, the person would die. Therefore, in an instant, everyone's hearts were in their mouths as they quickly rushed towards the palace. Please don't let anything happen to her. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Jueyu and the other powerful cultivators were extremely nervous. Du Xiaojing was their family. If anything happened to her, it would be unacceptable. Furthermore, as the first cultivator to break through to the immortal realm in Shenwu world, if she failed this time, it would be a huge blow to this world. No one wanted to see such a thing happen. Please don't let anything happen to her. Please don't let anything happen to her. Everyone kept repeating in their hearts. Their hearts were hanging in midair. They moved very quickly and soon returned to the sky above Stone City. But suddenly, just as they were about to rush into the place where Du Xiaojing was in seclusion, a figure suddenly appeared and blocked them all. Don't worry, Xiaojing is fine. The person who came was an old man who exuded a boundless domineering aura. His body was tall and straight, and the old hair on his head made people feel an uncontrollable sense of reverence. Senior Holy Sage. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Qinggu Yu and the others were stunned for a moment before bowing respectfully. Just by standing in front of this old man, they felt like they were looking up at a tall mountain. Everyone knew him very well and knew how terrifying he was. And who else could he be other than the strongest cultivator left in Shenwu world, the Dean of Tianwu Academy, the Holy Emperor? Senior, what do you mean? Didn't something happen to Xiaojing when she broke through? Du Tingxian hurried forward and asked anxiously. He was the most worried about Du Xiaojing's situation and did not want anything to happen to her. While Du Tingxian was speaking, the other experts also came forward and looked nervously at the old man in front of them. They wanted to hear his answer. Don't worry, nothing happened to her. As for what happened, you will find out soon. The Holy Emperor looked at everyone's expressions and suddenly revealed a mysterious smile. At the same time, he kept them in suspense. However, although the Holy Great Emperor did not say it clearly, just looking at the smile on his face, Du Tingxian and the others inexplicably felt a lot more at ease and relaxed. Senior, what is going on? Xiaojing was clearly breaking through to the immortal realm. Why did she suddenly stop? Meanwhile, Du Xiaoman walked over and couldn't help but ask. Just wait and see. You will find out soon. The Holy Emperor remained mysterious and only indicated for everyone to see for themselves. Hearing this, the others did not ask any more questions. They all released the power of their primordial spirits to spy on Du Xiaojing's situation. Not long after, a strange ripple suddenly appeared again. It spread out from Du Xiaojing's place of seclusion and was sensed by everyone. Zhen Qingchun suddenly let out a cry of surprise. His entire person was astonished. Du Tingxian was also stunned and was very surprised by the situation he sensed. The power of the law of space. This is the power of the law of space. Xiaojing she is accumulating the power of a second primitive law. I'm afraid she wants to break through to the immortal realm with multiple primitive laws. That's great. If she succeeds, her strength after breaking through will increase exponentially compared to breaking through with only one primitive law. After perceiving Du Xiaojing's condition, the experts present were in an uproar again. Everyone sighed in shock. Only now did they know that Du Xiaojing did not have an accident during her breakthrough. The power of the law of matter had been suppressed by her. At this time, the second primitive law was surging wildly. It was obvious that she was not willing to break through to the immortal realm with just the law of matter. The result of this would make the breakthrough more difficult. However, if she succeeded, the benefits would be unimaginable. Xiaofu broke through with 4 primitive laws at the same time. Little Xingxing mastered 3 primitive laws. Du Xiaoyao also broke through with the law of space and the law of soul at the same time. If Xiaojing can master at least 2 primitive laws, then our family will be envied by the whole 33 heavens. Du Tingxian became excited and couldn't help but murmur. Everyone knew how difficult it was to master multiple primitive laws and break through to the immortal realm. But now, the desolate country had already had Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Little Xingxing. If Xiaojing could do it as well, it would definitely be something worth celebrating. Whether it was the Du family, the desolate country, or the entire divine martial world, they were all happy to see this happen. The law of space. How terrifying! An expert from the Saman Sword sect stood in the void in a daze. He felt the power of the law of space coming from the void, and his entire body seemed to be frozen. Around him, there was a formless power surging and firmly locking the space here, forming a unique domain. Du Xiaojing's power affected everyone. Of course, the Holy Great Emperor was not included. As time passed, the power of the law once again climbed to the peak and was extremely vigorous. Everyone had already retreated far away under the Holy Great Emperor's guidance, avoiding all of this. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, nearly a month had passed. And at this time, the law of space that Du Xiaojing was emitting became more and more profound, maintaining that state. But to everyone's surprise, just when everyone thought that Du Xiaojing's comprehension of the laws of space had reached the peak and would definitely draw upon the energy of the laws of matter to carry out the final breakthrough, the terrifying energy of the laws of space retreated like the tide once more. This scene was exactly the same as what had happened before. It was obvious that Du Xiaojing had retracted the power of the law of space again. Everyone looked at each other, speechless. Could it be that Xiaojing wants to try a third primitive law? Du Tingxian frowned slightly. There was shock in his eyes, but at the same time, there was some confusion. He understood Du Xiaojing's situation very well. He knew that his daughter had great attainments in the law of matter and the law of space, but not in the law of time and the law of soul. She had only dabbled in them slightly. At this juncture, it would not be easy for her to try a third primitive law. Don't worry, just watch. On the side, the Holy Great Emperor stroked his beard and said with a mysterious smile. Hearing this, everyone stopped talking and turned their attention to where Du Xiaojing was cultivating in seclusion again. Sure enough, not long after the power of the law of space disappeared, another mysterious force spread out. The law of time. Everyone was stunned again. They looked at each other in disbelief. When did Xiaojing cultivate the law of time to such a level? Du Yunlong stood in the same place. His whole body was in a daze. He was extremely surprised. Not only him, but Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Chen Guyu, and the others also had the same feeling. Du Xiaojing had a close relationship with everyone. Everyone knew that her attainments in the law of space and the law of matter were extraordinary, but what was going on with the law of time? This little girl's talent is really good. In just a few hundred years, she has completely comprehended all the laws that this old man taught her. Now, even the law of time has reached such a level. If she can break through to the immortal realm with 3 primitive laws at the same time, she will definitely surpass me in the future. The Holy Great Emperor showed a gratified smile, and his old eyes narrowed into slits. He was very happy. He kept stroking his beard with one hand, looking very pleased. So it was Senior who taught her. Everyone finally understood that Du Xiaojing's mastery of the law of time was taught by the Holy Great Emperor. Who was the Holy Great Emperor? He was in existence at the 3rd stage of meditative forgetfulness, and he relied on the law of time and the law of space to become famous. If they were taught by him on these 2 paths, they would definitely benefit a lot. The ancient desolate space that Du Xiaofu carried with him had the power of both space and time. It was a perfect combination from the Holy Great Emperor. After sleeping for so many years, it's really good to have such a disciple. The Holy Great Emperor squinted his old eyes and nodded repeatedly. He looked at where Du Xiaojing was, and his eyes shone brightly. Senior, you took Xiaojing as your disciple? When did this happen? Zhen Qingchun and the others were stunned and looked at the Holy Great Emperor in confusion. They had not heard anything about this at all. The Holy Great Emperor laughed and said, "Of course you don't know. When I took her in as my disciple, all of you were in seclusion. At that time, this little girl was at the critical moment of her breakthrough. I saw that her talent was extraordinary, so I helped her a little. However, her current achievements are the result of her hard work. I only gave her a little guidance." The main point is still her own comprehension. So that's how it is. Du Tingxian and the others understood and nodded. After that, they stopped talking and looked at Du Xiaojing again. They wanted to see her breakthrough. Chapter 29:12. The Barren Nation and everyone who came to the Barren Nation were all waiting for Du Xiaojing to finally succeed in his breakthrough. The sage emperor, who was also the principal of Tianwu Academy, had taken her in as his disciple. This was something that surprised everyone. It was clear that because of the existence of this master, Du Xiaojing had definitely obtained extraordinary benefits, and it was definitely not limited to guidance on the level of laws. This was something that everyone was happy to see. In the void, the power of laws violently fluctuated. The laws of time flowed, affecting the entire stone city. Even though many experts were only standing on the periphery, they could still feel themselves falling into the space-time rotation, and it was difficult for them to break free. Fortunately, the Holy Great Emperor, a powerhouse at the third stage of meditative forgetfulness, was present. Under his protection, there was no need to worry about the terrible power released by Du Xiaojing's breakthrough. Most of the buildings in the palace did not even shake. I hope that Xiaojing will be able to reach the immortal level in one go, and set a good example for the other creatures in Shenwu world. Du Tingxian thought to himself as he sensed all the fluctuations in the air with a burning gaze. Du Xiaojing cultivated 3 primitive laws. If he could break through successfully, his competence would be intimidating. He could directly fight against someone at third sky of immortal realm. Furthermore, since the beginning of time, the strongest realm in Shenwu world was beyond the heavenly saint realm. Du Xiaojing was the first to break through to the immortal realm among all the living beings in this world. He would definitely bring a lot of confidence to many living beings. Of course, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing, who had broken through in the outside world, were not included. As changes continued to occur in this world, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that this world would be comparable to any of the 33 heavens. I have high hopes for this little girl. The Holy Great Emperor couldn't help but nod with a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, there was another violent tremor in the void. Then, everyone felt that the aura in the palace had expanded again. The laws of space and matter emerged at the same time and intertwined with the laws of time. The terrifying domain expanded, quickly spreading out, wanting to cover an area of 10 million li. Within this domain, the laws of matter of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, and other laws of matter were constantly transforming. Then, boundless energy was generated, and it raged out like a tsunami. 3 types of primeval laws were intertwined and coiled together. Space was circulating while the world was developing, and all sorts of phenomena were occurring. It was an expanse of grotesque and variegated scenes. The entire world of Shenwu seemed to be affected by this power. Space began to distort, and strange phenomena appeared everywhere, shocking countless living beings. Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Chang Guyu, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, and Yi Wuming were all waiting in silence. They wanted to learn something from Du Xiaojing's breakthrough so that they could take the same step in the future. As time passed, the fluctuations of the 3 primordial laws in the void finally began to merge. Seeing this, everyone's expression tensed up. They knew that Du Xiaojing was about to make a crucial breakthrough. This process is extremely difficult, but if we can make it through in one go, then it will be a brand new world. Du Yunlong's robe fluttered in the wind, and his eyes sparkled as he spoke. Hearing this, everyone else nodded in agreement. Time passed by slowly. In the blink of an eye, a few months had passed. During this time, Du Tingxian and the rest of the people from the Huang country, as well as the powerhouses from the other forces, were all paying attention to Du Xiaojing's movements. During this period of time, the entire Shenwu world had been experiencing strange occurrences, causing all living beings to be shocked. However, no one panicked because of this. The news of Du Xiaojing's breakthrough spread like wildfire. In the end, the Huang country once again became the focal point of this world. Countless pairs of eyes were watching this place, wanting to know the progress of this matter as soon as possible. Finally, on this day, the boundless power of the laws in the void reached a peak. Then, it suddenly retracted like a tidal wave. It came fiercely, but it was also unstoppable. The power of the laws has retracted. Is Xiao Jing about to break through? Du Tingxian and the rest were stunned. Then, boundless anticipations surged in their hearts. Everyone looked at each other and saw the same look of anticipation on each other's faces. However, just as this kind of anticipation appeared, suddenly, a power that was 1,000 times stronger than the previous one appeared and spread out in the void. Everyone retreated in unison, frightened by this power. Fortunately, the Holy Great Emperor acted immediately and blocked everything outside. Only then did these cultivators below the immortal realm not get hurt. Mortal. He's really an immortal. Du Tingxian could feel his lips trembling as he muttered uncontrollably. His words were filled with incomparable agitation and excitement. From this aura, they could tell that Du Xiaojing had really broken through to the immortal realm. The power he emitted easily pushed them back. After waiting for so long, she finally succeeded. Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, and the rest were also very happy. Ha! The Holy Great Emperor suddenly laughed. His old eyes narrowed into slits. He stroked his beard and said with satisfaction, "Little girl, you're not bad. You've broken through to the immortal realm with 3 primordial laws. You're much better than me in this aspect." As he spoke, he couldn't help but nod his head with a look of satisfaction on his face. After he finished speaking, the tyrannical power in the sky retreated. Then, a graceful figure rushed out from below and appeared in front of everyone in an instant. Xiao Jing. Sister. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, and the rest quickly surrounded her. The figure that rushed out was none other than Du Xiaojing. At this moment, she looked extremely different from before. The aura she exuded had changed tremendously. It was much more profound and vast than before. Father. Big sister. Second brother. Du Xiaojing smiled and greeted the crowd. Then, she came in front of the Holy Great Emperor and bowed. Greetings, Master. Not bad. You finally succeeded in breaking through. TSK, 3 primordial laws. If this news spreads to the 33 heavens, I'm afraid many people will go crazy. Since ancient times, how many people have been able to reach this level? The Holy Great Emperor looked at the graceful girl in front of him with an indescribable satisfaction in his heart. This was his disciple. To have such an achievement was definitely something to be proud of. However, these words caused Du Xiaojing's face to turn red. Her red lips parted slightly as she said, "With big brother, little Xingxing, and the others standing before me, how can Xiaojing accept such an honor with my current ability?" The people at the side were speechless. They all shook their heads and smiled bitterly. Du Xiaofu was a freak. If they were to compare with him, it would be too demoralizing. As for Little Star, after going to the 33 heavens, she also obtained a lot of opportunities and benefits. In addition to her extraordinary talent, it was reasonable for her to take that step. However, Du Xiaojing was different. She was a powerhouse who had cultivated in the divine martial world. Not only my brother, but there are also existences like the Lord of the 3,000 boundless cosmos and the Dragon God. I'm afraid they all surpass Xiaojing by far. Du Xiaojing said as everyone was speechless. She was very humble and did not feel proud of her current strength at all. Indeed, the people that Du Xiaojing mentioned were all unique in this world. Other than Du Xiaofu and Little Star who were still growing, the Lord of the 3,000 boundless cosmos and the Dragon God were already above all living beings. The height of those two was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Very good. With this kind of attitude, you don't have to worry about being worse than them in the future. At the very least, in this old man's opinion, not to mention Du Xiaofu and Lu Xiaoyu, it's not impossible for you to reach Xiaolong's level. The Holy Great Emperor nodded and said to Du Xiaojing. The Tianwu Academy's principal spoke very seriously, but when his words fell into the ears of those around them, they were all stunned. Many people couldn't help but dig their ears, wondering if they had heard wrongly. What? The Lord of the 3,000 boundless cosmos and the Dragon God, these two supreme existences, are actually little brats in the principal's mouth? Everyone looked at each other in confusion, and they were all stunned. They couldn't help but suspect that the Holy Emperor had some kind of close relationship with the Lord of the 3,000 boundless cosmos and the Dragon God. Otherwise, why would he not show any respect for those two supreme existences and even act like an elder? This kind of doubt left everyone puzzled. They couldn't help but look at the Holy Emperor with strange expressions. "Why are you all looking at this old man?" The Holy Emperor's hand that was tugging at his beard froze as he looked at everyone in confusion. After a while, as though he had seen through everyone's thoughts, he suddenly laughed loudly and said, "Ha! Lu Xiaoyu is this old man's disciple. There's nothing wrong with me calling him a little brat." And such words instantly struck everyone to the point that they were charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Juyu, Yi Wuming, and the others all blinked their eyes, and a strange feeling surged in their hearts. The Lord of the 3,000 boundless cosmos, Lu Xiaoyu, is the Holy Emperor's disciple? This news only came to everyone today, and they couldn't help but be shocked. If that's the case, then there's nothing wrong with the Holy Emperor's words. No wonder the principal's cultivation is so strong. It turns out that he's the master of the 3,000 boundless cosmos. I've been wondering why such a terrifying expert would appear in the divine martial world. He actually came from the 3,000 boundless cosmos. The corners of Du Tingshuan's mouth curled into a bitter smile as he shook his head. Everyone had guesses about the Holy Emperor's identity, but no one had a clue. In the early years of the divine martial world, Tianwu Academy was the holy land of the 3 continents and Kyushu. Countless people yearned for it. A place like this made all living beings feel strange, and they all wanted to know who created it. After the principal appeared, they were shocked to discover that the strength of the Tianwu Academy's founder was much more terrifying than they had imagined. It was also because of this that the living beings of this world were even more curious about the origins of the Tianwu Academy's principal. However, no one knew about this, not even Du Xiaofu. Until today, when the dean unintentionally said something, this truth was finally revealed. This also explained many questions. Why would an existence at the 3rd stage of meditative oblivion realm in the divine martial world establish Tianwu Academy? Why would the principal act like an elder when he mentioned the Lord of the 3,000 boundless cosmos and the Dragon God? It seemed like in the primordial age, under the leadership of the 3,000 boundless cosmos sovereigns, many experts entered the divine martial world and left behind many indelible footprints. Don't just stand there. Xiaojing's breakthrough to the immortal realm is a joyous occasion. You might have gained some insights from this observation. Take this opportunity to go into seclusion and cultivate. Try to break through as soon as possible and let this world shine. The Holy Emperor ignored everyone's gazes and waved his hand. "I'm going back to the Tianwu Academy. There are a few fellows there who are not bad and are worth nurturing. If you have any questions about your cultivation, you can look for me at the Tianwu Academy." Everyone bowed respectfully when they heard the Holy Emperor's words. After observing Du Xiaojing's breakthrough to the immortal realm, many of the experts present had gained some insights. This could be considered a fortuitous encounter. Someone had walked ahead of them and opened up a new path for them. This was a great opportunity for them to learn from. Furthermore, what made everyone happy was that the Holy Emperor was willing to give them pointers. This would allow them to take fewer detours and make their breakthroughs easier. As for the few fellows in the Tianwu Academy who were not bad, everyone knew that other than the general, Ghost Child, Gu Xinyan, and the other higher-ups of the Tianwu Academy, the strongest were the 4 young men and women. They were Teng Yimou, Zhang Yishan, Wang Xiaofeng, and Yu Yu. The 3 of them were already known as the 3 gods of the Tianwu Academy in their early years. After the greetings, everyone dispersed. Du Tingxian and the other experts of the desolate country were also preparing to leave and enter seclusion. At this moment, Du Xiaojing walked up to the Holy Emperor with light steps. "Master." She didn't beat around the bush and asked directly, "Xiaojing wants to go out and train after breaking through. I wonder if it's appropriate for me to go to the 33 heavens now?" Du Xiaojing had just broken through and her cultivation was at the first sky of Immortal Realm. Her strength was comparable to an ordinary third sky of Immortal Realm expert. If it was in the past, she would have been able to protect herself in the 33 heavens. As long as she didn't offend any superpowers, not many people could touch her. That was why she wanted to go out and train. However, the situation in the 33 heavens was tense now. The demon race was rampant and many living beings had entered the divine demon battle realm and entered the 18 layers of hell. Therefore, Du Xiaojing wanted to hear her master's opinion and get some pointers. Yes. After breaking through, you should go out and train to stabilize your cultivation. If you want to continue improving, you can't be a frog in a well. After all, the divine martial world hasn't really risen yet. The Holy Emperor nodded and said, Go. Go to the Changrong heaven and find the Yuqing divine kingdom. That place is under Du Xiaofu's control. Through them, you can enter the divine demon battle realm. Even if you don't directly enter the 18 layers of hell, you can at least deal with the demon race in the periphery. His words were serious as he looked at his disciple and said, the situation in the 33 heavens had changed greatly. It wasn't like in the past where there were many races fighting for hegemony. There were many opportunities to train. Because of the demon race, all the worlds, and even most of the forces, had united together to fight against the demon race. This was a very good sign. It was much more gratifying than a state of disunity where everyone had their own ulterior motives. But in comparison, after Du Xiaojing entered the 33 heavens, she would have very few opportunities to train. Therefore, the best place to go was the divine demon battle realm. Many demon race members walked out of the 18 layers of hell. Although they couldn't cause too much of a commotion under the encirclement of the experts of the 33 heavens, it was still a serious matter. Now that millions of experts had entered the 18 layers of hell, the divine demon battle realm needed more people to guard it to prevent any accidents. To Du Xiaojing, that kind of situation could allow her to gain good training. At the same time, she could contribute her strength to fight against the demon race. Good disciple will remember master's words. Du Xiaojing bowed respectfully and then left with Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaoman Yi Piaoling and the others, returning to the desolate country. The most holy great emperor also went to Tianwu Academy to oversee the divine martial world. On the second day after Du Xiaojing returned to the desolate country, she bid farewell to her parents, relatives, and the experts of the desolate country. She directly stepped through the void, and her graceful figure quickly disappeared. Not a single trace of her could be found. The first immortal realm expert has walked out of the divine martial world. We can't fall too far behind. Xiaofu, Little Xingxing, and Little Yao are fighting in the 18 layers of hell. As their family, we have to do something. Looking at Du Xiaojing's disappearing figure, Du Yunlong raised his head and muttered. The moment they thought of where Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao and Little Xingxing were as their family, the experts of the desolate country had an indescribable feeling in their hearts. They wanted to fight alongside Du Xiaofu and the others and contribute their strength to the 33 heavens plan to fight against the demon race. But now, everyone's cultivation was still too weak and could not be of much use. Therefore, the most important thing to do now was to train with all his might. Even if he couldn't catch up to Du Xiaofu's footsteps, he still had to follow closely behind Du Xiaojing. Then, a group of immortal rank powerhouses would emerge, allowing the glory of Shen Wu world to shine in the 33 heavens. Chapter 29:13. Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Jueyu, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Qingguyu, and other experts were all working hard to reach the immortal realm. At the same time, the changes in Shen Wu world were still ongoing. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth was multiplying, and the suppressive force was weakening. The world was also expanding. All of this had to do with Du Xiaofu. At this time, he was fighting in the 11th layer of the 18 layers of hell, fighting alongside millions of experts from the 33 heavens. After being tempered by the hellfire, Du Xiaofu's strength increased rapidly. He had reached the mid-stage of the second level of the Void Path from the early stage of the second level of the Void Path. His true battle strength was enough to suppress those at the first level of the meditative realm. With his many tricks, he wasn't even afraid of those at the second level of the meditative realm. This kind of improvement was terrifying. The 200 or so meditative realm experts couldn't help but be speechless. Most of the experts at the first level of the meditative realm could only smile bitterly in their hearts. Before entering the 18 layers of hell, Du Xiaofu was much weaker than them. He was only at the peak of the immortal realm. He couldn't even compare to those at the true meditative realm. But after all these years of fighting in the 18 layers of hell, this kid had used the broken seals between each layer of hell and the hellfire to temper himself. His strength had actually improved by leaps and bounds. This was truly unbelievable. Most importantly, Du Xiaofu's breakthroughs didn't have any bottlenecks. He only needed to increase his strength step by step. As long as he had enough energy and enough comprehension, he would steadily increase his strength. And for people like them, every step they took, they would face a huge obstacle. However, everyone knew that Du Xiaofu was able to achieve this because he was in the Void Path, a realm that had never been seen before. In this realm, there were no barriers to each level of growth. The only thing that would stop one from breaking through was when one was trying to break through to the next level. The entrance to the 12th layer of hell is not far ahead. Let's hurry. Du Xiaofu took the lead in front of everyone. The purple gold heavenly tower in his hand continued to release a bright light, slashing down again and again, killing the devils along the way. We're about to enter the 12th layer of hell. I keep feeling that our journey has been a little too smooth. I'm afraid that's not a good thing. Lu Jingyun murmured as he looked ahead with a burning gaze. Ever since they entered the 18 levels of hell, they had been pushing their way through. Although they had encountered a large number of Devil Clan members who had fiercely resisted, their resistance was not particularly fierce. This was somewhat different from what they had initially imagined. This sort of minuscule resistance from the demons didn't cause the 33 heavens to lose too many powerhouses. The more he thought about it, the more worried Lu Jingyun was. One could imagine that in the final battle, the vast majority of the demon race's strength would be revealed. At that time, this would be a terrifying test for the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. Since I've already entered this place, I can't turn back so easily. Du Xiaofu nodded and said, "Let's enter the 13th layer of hell first. No matter what, we must do something on this trip. If we encounter an irresistible situation, we must retreat in time. At the very least, we must preserve the main fighting strength of the 33 heavens. Now is not the time to truly engage in the final battle with the Devil Clan." No one dared to underestimate the strength of the Devil Clan. In ancient times, the Devil Clan was an existence that could cause the great god Pangu and the entire Pangu realm to tremble in fear. Along the way, the resistance they had encountered was not great. The Devil Clan had not formed an effective resistance. One could imagine that the road ahead would not be easy. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others no longer spoke. They continued to rush towards the entrance to the 12th layer of hell. Every battle in the 12th layer of hell would consume a large amount of time. For example, in the 11th layer of hell, there was an even larger amount of Devil Clan resistance. In addition, they had to search for the door to the 12th layer of hell. It took Du Xiaofu and the others 60 to 70 years to truly reach the entrance to the 12th layer of hell. However, just as everyone was about to plunge into the hellfire, a ferocious murderous aura suddenly surged towards them. In this murderous aura, there was boundless ferocity and terrifying ruthlessness. As soon as this aura appeared, the 11th layer of hell was instantly filled with scarlet red. Waves of terrifying bloody aura spread out, filling every inch of space. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Cheng, Long Ke, Long Su, Chu Daoju, and the other powerhouses suddenly felt as if their bodies had fallen into a swamp. Their movements became sluggish. Blood ancestor. Du Xiaofu was shocked in his heart. He was extremely familiar with this aura. Earlier, when he was in the Qian Su Jing Hua heaven, he had faced it head-on. The blood ancestor was probably the only person in this world who possessed such a murderous aura and terrifying might. That old bird is really moving. It's definitely coming for us. This 11th layer of hell is not easy to leave. Lu Jingyun's face was incomparably solemn. His brows were tightly knitted as he spoke in a deep voice. Not long after they entered the 11th layer of hell, they had sensed the existence of the blood ancestor. However, in these past few decades, the experts of the 33 heavens had launched a terrifying massacre in this space, but they had never seen that old ghost appear. In the end, everyone treated it as if it didn't exist. After all, back then in the Qiansu Jinghua heaven, Lu Xiaoyu had heavily injured the blood ancestor, cutting off one of his arms, causing him to be even more injured. It would take a very long time for him to recover. However, just when Du Xiaofu and the others thought that the blood ancestor wouldn't choose to stop them at this level, and that the millions of people on their side would be able to smoothly enter the 12th level of hell, they didn't expect that the old ghost would suddenly move again. Meditative realm, prepare to fight. The rest of you, retreat to the entrance of the next level of hell and wait for us. If you see that something is wrong, leave immediately. An old man from the 33 heavens at the 3rd stage of meditative realm let out a deep shout as his eyes shone brightly. As soon as he finished speaking, the millions of people immediately moved. They no longer cared about fighting with the remaining demon clan members. They all rushed forward at full speed towards the entrance of the next level of hell. In addition, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Long Su, and more than 200 meditative realm experts also quickly gathered in one place and stood on the spot, ready to fight. Old ghost, let us have a go at you. Let's see if you can still kill as wantonly as you did in the past with your broken body. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered as he stared at the void. Everyone else also widened their eyes as they looked at the scarlet light that filled the sky around them. The meditative realm experts also felt a lot of pressure at this moment. After all, the blood ancestor was an expert of the path-bearing realm. Even if his strength had been damaged again and again, his power was still difficult to resist. Everyone, unite as one. I don't believe that with so many people, we can't stop the blood ancestor who has been injured again and again. Lu Jingyun's entire body emitted a strong fighting spirit. As soon as he finished speaking, more than 200 meditative realm experts all released ferocious energy fluctuations and intertwined with each other. When this action was made, everyone felt their bodies relax. That frightening blood evil chi was no longer able to affect them too much. A bunch of audacious ants actually dared to break into the 18th level of hell to die. At this moment, a sinister laugh rang out and fell into everyone's ears. This voice drifted and came from all directions, making it impossible to pinpoint its exact location. Mongrel old bird, since you've come out, why are you still hiding? Could it be that you're too ugly with a broken wing and don't have the face to see others? Du Xiaofu curled the corners of his mouth and said coldly. His words caused the other experts in the surroundings to reveal strange smiles. All of them had a look of disdain on their faces. Du Xiaofu was deliberately provoking the blood ancestor to reveal his true body. Although the mongrel old bird was seriously injured, if he hid in the dark and launched a sneak attack, he would inevitably bring unimaginable trouble to everyone. If he was forced to appear, it would naturally be much easier to deal with him. Therefore, everyone couldn't help but admire Du Xiaofu's wit. It was as if his mouth had been blessed and was incomparably vicious. With the blood ancestor's strength and status, how could he withstand such ridicule? Having one of his wings broken by Lu Xiaoyu was already a great humiliation. This time, he was attacked by Du Xiaofu's words. If it were anyone else who was ridiculed like this, they would probably jump out and fight back. How dare you talk nonsense? Do you really think this ancestor can't kill you? As expected, the blood ancestor began to yell. His voice was filled with endless rage. The terrifying roar shook the 9 heavens and pierced through the clouds. It practically caused the entire level of hell to tremble terrifyingly. Walala! In the next moment, a blood-red light shot up into the sky, broke through the void, and rushed straight in the direction of Du Xiaofu and the others. In this blood-red light, a huge phoenix spread its wings and soared into the sky. It was like a red cloud that covered the sky and the earth. It was extremely visually shocking. "It's here. Prepare for battle." Du Xiaofu laughed sinisterly and suddenly shouted in a deep voice. There was no need for his instructions. All the powerhouses present trembled and quickly surrounded Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others. In front of everyone's eyes, the blood ancestor scattered the blood-red clouds in the sky and quickly arrived in front of Du Xiaofu and the others. "Humans, you dare to come to the 18th level of hell? You're courting death." His eyes were fixed on Du Xiaofu. A fierce light shot out from his fierce eyes as if he wanted to swallow him whole. He said, "The origin of chaos in your body is finally delivered to this ancestor's hands." When he finished speaking, he laughed sinisterly again. Chapter 29:14. In the early years, when Du Xiaofu led the experts of the 33 heavens into the Qian Su Jinghua heaven, the moment Blood Ancestor appeared, he sensed that Du Xiaofu had the origin of primal chaos on him. Therefore, he directly tried to seize it. The origin of primal chaos was nurtured by an illusionary realm expert and had miraculous effects. It was extremely useful for healing the Blood Ancestor's injuries. If he succeeded in seizing it, the accumulated injuries from being suppressed by the origin phoenix for many years would recover in a very short time. Therefore, the Blood Ancestor coveted the origin of primal chaos on Du Xiaofu and wanted to seize it. However, Lu Xiaoyou's sudden appearance at that time ruined the Blood Ancestor's plan. In the end, Lu Xiaoyou defeated the Blood Ancestor and broke one of his wings. Now, the Blood Ancestor appeared in human form in front of Du Xiaofu and the others. He was also missing an arm. If he wanted to regrow it, it would take a lot of time and resources. However, the Blood Ancestor looked at Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others coldly. At the same time, he laughed coldly, but at the same time, he couldn't help but feel excited. Originally, he hid in the 18 levels of hell to avoid Lu Xiaoyou's pursuit. Who would have thought that these creatures of the 33 heavens would be so bold as to directly rush into the 18 levels of hell? The Blood Ancestor secretly swore that this time, he wouldn't let Du Xiaofu escape. He had to get the origin of primal chaos. "Old bird, are you really so confident that you can defeat so many of us working together? Do you really think that you can do whatever you want when you're at your peak?" Lu Jingyun sneered and said coldly. He didn't seem to be afraid at all. Instead, his whole body was filled with boiling battle intent. Indeed, if the Blood Ancestor was at his peak, more than 200 Oblivion Realm experts on his side wouldn't even be enough to slap that old ghost. Dao-bearing realm experts were rare existences since ancient times. One could imagine how powerful they were. Lu Jingyun wasn't an arrogant person. Naturally, he could see the huge gap between them. However, the old ghost's injuries were on top of his injuries. After being ravaged several times, his strength had been greatly reduced. In particular, the two attacks from Lu Xiaoyu in the Qian Su Jinghua heaven had disrupted the Blood Ancestor's energy. Who knew how much energy the Blood Ancestor's power god knew how much energy the Blood Ancestor lost. Without sufficient resources, not to mention a short few hundred years, even 10,000 years would not be enough for it to recover. This was the reason why Lu Jingyun was confident. The Blood Ancestor was the god of the 200 Oblivion Realm experts. What an arrogant human. A mere third-level meditative realm cultivator dares to be so presumptuous in front of this ancestor. The Blood Ancestor's eyes suddenly narrowed as he glared fiercely at Lu Jingyun, and then he said, "However, I only want to kill that kid today and obtain the Chaos Quintessence in his possession. If you don't open your eyes, then I'm not willing to crush you in hell with me." His eyes were filled with murderous intent. As he spoke, he glanced at Du Xiaofu, who was beside Lu Jingyun. A terrifying blood-red radiance shot out like a blood-stained sword across the void. "Old ghost, since you're so confident, then come and try. Don't run away in fear when you can't beat me." Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and pointed the purple-gold heavenly tower at the Blood Ancestor. His entire body flowed with the power of the great Tao origin. All of his power was accumulating, and very soon, he had reached a peak. That's right. We also want to have a good fight with you, old ghost from ancient times, but I'm afraid you'll be too weak and run away with your tail between your legs. One of the 33 Heavens meditative experts sneered and looked at the blood ancestor. At this moment, more than 200 meditative experts gathered all their strength and intertwined together to form a terrifying curtain of light that enveloped everyone's bodies. They all looked at the one-armed old man across from them with burning eyes. Their fighting spirit surged and shook the void. Everyone knew how strong the blood ancestor was. Many of them had seen him fight back in the Qian Su Jinghua heaven. But the situation was different now. Now that the blood ancestor's strength had been greatly reduced, they still had a chance. But if they could kill the blood ancestor while more than 200 meditative experts were working together, it would be an earth-shattering feat. You're just a bunch of ants. How dare you clamor with this ancestor? Since you want to die, how can this ancestor not fulfill your wish? The blood ancestor's ferocious face darkened. It was as if water was about to drip from it. It was incomparably terrifying. In the face of the humiliation of the powerhouses of the 33 heavens, how could he possibly endure it? As an existence who had been infamous since ancient times, how could he endure such mockery? His ferocious eyes suddenly shrank and his entire body moved. Clamor with this ancestor? You're overestimating yourselves. You've delivered yourselves to the 18 levels of hell. Naturally, this ancestor will treat you well. The blood ancestor's words were cold. As he spoke, his remaining arms suddenly stretched out and began to move in the void. Huff, huff, huff. In an instant, the entire void seemed to have turned into a pool of clear water that was stirred up by a giant palm. A vortex appeared and rapidly flowed. Then, a terrifying storm silently formed. Like a roaring river, the tide struck the sky and rushed towards the moon in all directions. Wave after wave of giant waves slapped towards Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Liu Xiao, Lu Ying, and the others. Within this wave, there was an unparalleled power of the great Tao. It was even mixed with the power of the origin of chaos. It was as if it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The scene was extremely terrifying. This was the blood ancestor's own Tao. Whether it was the 33 heavens or the 18 levels of hell, they seemed to be incompatible with this power. However, it was undeniable that this aura was extremely powerful. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Dragon Fault, and the others joined forces to create a terrifying barrier of light. Under the blood ancestor's power, the barrier shook violently and continuously. The third realm of meditative oblivion will face the blood ancestor. The rest of you, support from the side. Let's have a good fight with this old ghost. Lu Jingyun immediately shouted. His figure soared into the sky, his robe fluttering. Fight! The rest of the experts shouted one after another. More than 20 figures walked out from the formation and formed a triangle with Lu Jingyun to face the blood ancestor. As for the first and second realms of meditative oblivion, they retreated behind these 20 or so people and formed a formation to face the blood ancestor. The origin of the great Tao was released from everyone's body. They intertwined with each other and turned into a dazzling light that rose into the sky. Ants, go to hell! Such a roar came from the blood ancestor's throat. He suddenly waved his arm. Whoosh! Terrifying great Tao energy surged and instantly transformed into a huge blood-colored phoenix. It looked no different from the blood ancestor's original body. This huge blood-colored phoenix flapped its wings and pounced, stirring up a boundless storm as it attacked in an instant. Its sharp claws tore through the void. Under the gentle swaying of its phoenix tail, it destroyed everything in its path. Du Xiaofu and the others looked extremely serious. At this moment, their concentration was at its peak. Following Lu Jingyun's shout, all the experts immediately attacked. Waves of origin of the great Tao energy surged into the sky and instantly engulfed the entire void. The first meditative oblivion expert unleashed a terrifying attack toward the blood ancestor. Both sides attacked fiercely. The scene was shocking. In a short period of time, the two sides had a terrifying collision. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others' attacks were extremely fierce. The origin of the Great Tao destroyed everything in its path. The attacks of more than 200 people moved at the same time. A rain of light swept across the sky and destroyed everything in its path. However, when it came into contact with the Blood Ancestor's giant blood-colored phoenix, it was as if it had hit a rock. A metallic sound rang out. Only the attacks of Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and more than 23rd-level meditative oblivion experts caused damage to the blood-colored phoenix. They stopped it for a moment, but a large amount of energy exploded and the blood-colored wings on its body collapsed. However, this attack did not truly defeat it. The blood-colored phoenix was still flying toward them. An ant trying to shake a tree. You overestimate yourself. The Blood Ancestor shouted coldly. His voice shook the 9 heavens. That huge phoenix also moved ferociously, moving forward in the storm that filled the sky, once again charging towards the crowd. This old man's methods are too strong. If we fight separately, it will be difficult to defeat him. Du Xiaofu's eyes were serious. He looked at the giant blood-colored phoenix that was speeding toward them and kept coming up with a plan. The Blood Ancestor's aura was extremely powerful. If the 200 or so of them fought separately, they wouldn't be a match for him at all. If they were not careful, it was very likely that they would be defeated one by one. When that happened, no one would be able to leave this place alive. This was a situation that Du Xiaofu did not want to see at all. If we want to deal with the Blood Ancestor, we naturally can't treat him lightly. However, it's not like we don't have a way. Lu Jingyun said, his words deep. However, looking at his appearance, he seemed to have some confidence. He must have some special methods. Just as he was talking to Du Xiaofu, the blood-colored phoenix, formed by the endless power of the Great Tao and the origin of chaos, had already arrived in front of them. When they saw this scene, none of the powerhouses dared to be careless. They all used their strongest methods and gathered a large number of attacks that came down and drowned the blood-colored phoenix. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others also did not hold back. They all used their most terrifying attacks. In particular, the attacks of the third-stage meditative realm cultivators were extremely terrifying and caused considerable damage to the blood-colored phoenix. Retreat! While the giant blood phoenix was being obstructed, Lu Jingyun suddenly let out a roar and quickly retreated with more than 200 people, leaving their original location. While they were retreating, their hands did not have any intention of stopping. They attacked without hesitation. After a series of attacks, the Crimson Phoenix let out a shrill cry and turned into green smoke, exploding in the void. When they saw this scene, everyone finally let out a sigh of relief. Even if a realm of enlightenment powerhouse's strength was greatly reduced and was not even at 10% of his peak strength, it was still not easy to deal with him. However, just as Du Xiaofu and the others were about to let out a sigh of relief, the Blood Ancestor opened his mouth again. He stepped in the void and slowly walked over. As he walked, he laughed sinisterly and said, "Kakik! A bunch of useless chickens and pottery dogs dare to fight with this ancestor. This ancestor wants to see how long you can resist." The Blood Ancestor's blood-colored eyes looked at everyone with endless mockery. Especially when he looked at Du Xiaofu, there was a greedy look in his eyes, as if he wanted to swallow him whole. The origin of chaos left behind by Heavenly Lord Daluo was something he must obtain. "You old bird, are you so sure that you can win?" When Lu Jingyun heard this, he could not help but raise his eyebrows and ask coldly. Then, without turning his eyes, he said to Du Xiaofu, "Masters Junior Du, I have a way to deal with this old ghost, but I need you to be the center. I wonder if Masters Junior Du can give it a try? What do you want me to do? Just say it." Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked at Lu Jingyun. He was mentally prepared. Since Lu Jingyun had said this so solemnly, it must be a difficult task. However, Du Xiaofu did not care about this. As long as he could defeat the Blood Ancestor, he would not hesitate to pay the price of being seriously injured. When he heard Du Xiaofu's words, Lu Jingyun immediately transmitted his thoughts to more than 200 meditative forgetfulness powerhouses and told them his idea. As he continued to explain, Du Xiaofu finally understood what Lu Jingyun meant. The Void 8 Trigrams technique? I can give it a try. Du Xiaofu murmured. Then, he activated the 4 primordial laws and instantly formed a terrifying 8 trigrams diagram that occupied the void. In just an instant, a terrifying pressure descended and spread out in this space. In the distance, some members of the demon clan prostrated themselves on the ground. They were frightened by this terrifying pressure and felt uneasy. Lu Jingyun's method was to have Du Xiaofu use the Void 8 Trigrams technique. This was the technique of his father, Lu Xiao. The Void 8 Trigrams contained all the laws of order in this world. Du Xiaofu had used this technique to break through the void path using the 4 primordial laws and achieve a unique realm in this world. However, Du Xiaofu's current cultivation level was not high enough to deal with the blood ancestor. Lu Jingyun wanted to borrow the power of all the meditative forgetfulness powerhouses present and use the Void 8 Trigrams to fight the blood ancestor. However, this process was extremely dangerous. Du Xiaofu himself would have to bear a great deal of pressure. The power of more than 200 meditative forgetfulness powerhouses was enough to shake heaven and earth and kill everything. However, at the same time, it would bring great danger to Du Xiaofu. If he was not careful, he would be crushed by this power and die an unnatural death. I have the immortal Xian body and the green spirit armor. My physical body and primordial spirit are extremely tough. They are not weaker than powerhouses in the 3rd stage of meditative forgetfulness. I dare not say that I can easily withstand the power of all the powerhouses, but I can definitely handle some of them. Chapter 29:15. I have the immortal Xian body and the azure spirit armor. My body and primordial spirit are both extremely tough. I'm no weaker than a 3rd stage meditative realm cultivator. I can't say that I'll be able to withstand all of their powers, but I'll definitely be able to control them. Du Xiaofu thought to himself as he continuously assessed his own abilities. If he were to combine the powers of more than 200 meditative realm cultivators, it would be an extremely difficult test for Du Xiaofu. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't afraid of facing the blood ancestor. He wanted to give it a try. If that's the case, let's begin. Lu Jingyun said to the people around him as he watched Du Xiaofu's actions. In fact, as the eldest son of the ruler of the 3,000 sectors, he himself had mastered the Void 8 Trigrams technique. If he really used it, his power would definitely be many times stronger than Du Xiaofu's. After all, a 3rd stage meditative realm cultivator wasn't just for show. However, Lu Jingyun hadn't mastered all 4 primordial laws at the same time. Fundamentally speaking, he wasn't able to use them as comprehensively as Du Xiaofu. The more than 200 meditative realm cultivators present had all used their own methods to enter the immortal realm and then step into the meditative realm. Only Du Xiaofu could use all 4 primordial laws to perfectly integrate these powers and use them against the enemy. Yu Qing Divine Emperor, it's all up to you now. We were able to defeat the blood ancestor mainly because of Uncle Du. If we can't do it, don't force yourself. We'll just have to find another way. The meditative realm cultivators all had solemn expressions as they spoke to Du Xiaofu. Many of them spoke up to warn him. They didn't want to see Du Xiaofu suffer too much damage. Everyone, I know what I'm doing. Come on. Du Xiaofu shouted as he focused his gaze. Huff, huff, huff. The terrifying 8 trigrams diagram hovered in the air, releasing a bright light. A majestic power burst forth, causing the world to tremble. Under the influence of this power, the space around everyone turned into a state of chaos. Everyone, according to your own law attributes, choose a suitable position. I will take the position of Qian. An old man at the 3rd level of meditative oblivion realm flashed and arrived at one of the 8 trigrams. Let's help. Many other experts rushed out and stood beside the old man. And these people were at the Qian position of the 8 trigrams. My Lord Kuan position. Soon after, another powerhouse flew out and went to the Kuan position. Those who were below the third level of meditative oblivion also helped from the side. I'll take the Zhen position. Leave the Li position to me. My main can position. Very soon, after a series of shouts, all the meditative experts rushed out and landed in every corner of Du Xiaofu's void 8 trigrams. More than 200 people took their positions in an instant. Dozens of people stood on each of the 8 directions of the 8 trigrams diagram in the void. Lu Jingyan, Liu Xiao, Luing, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others were also there. We're going to start pouring in our power. Uncle Du, you have to be careful. If you can't hold on, tell everyone immediately. Lu Jingyun's body was as straight as a javelin. As his robes fluttered, he looked like a deity. He was wrapped in the light of Du Xiaofu's void 8 trigrams, and his entire body was glowing with radiance. How dare you challenge this ancestor with some petty tricks? How can the light of a grain of rice compete with the brilliance of the moon? No matter how much my strength is damaged, I'm not someone you ants can deal with. The blood ancestor saw the actions of Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others in the distance. When he saw Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams diagram, his old eyes couldn't help but ripple. At first glance, one could tell that the 8 trigrams in the void was extraordinary. The aura contained within it was extremely terrifying. Even a powerhouse like him was shocked by it. This was definitely not a technique that Du Xiaofu could comprehend at his level. However, the blood ancestor didn't particularly care. In his eyes, the experts of the 33 heavens were nothing to worry about. Rumble. As the blood ancestor spoke, his single arm suddenly swung in the void. It was like a heavenly wheel crushing through the boundless void, emitting a terrifying sound. It was like rolling thunder, as if it wanted to collapse the world. Following that, the scarlet color that filled the sky surged endlessly. It was like turbid waves that were surging through the sky. Each wave was higher than the previous one, and it slammed towards Du Xiaofu and the others. Begin! Du Xiaofu let out a shout from his throat. Facing the blood ancestor's attack, he didn't dare to be negligent. The experts in the various positions of the 8 trigrams diagram looked at each other and immediately began to circulate the power in their bodies. Wave after wave of pure energy surged out like the waves of a long river, and all of it permeated into Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams diagram. Rumble. Under Du Xiaofu's control, the 8 trigrams diagram slowly rotated. The tyrannical energy followed a strange trajectory and began to converge toward the center of the 8 trigrams diagram. In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu's expression changed drastically. His face immediately became incomparably rosy, and his body temperature rapidly rose. The magnificent energy shuttled endlessly through his body, making him feel like he was about to explode. What a vigorous power! The power of more than 200 meditative experts is really terrifying. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He was shocked by the situation he was in. At the same time, he was also very clear that Lu Jingyun and the others had only used a small portion of their strength to achieve such an effect. If they had used their full strength, it was very likely that they would have exploded and died in an instant, leaving not even a speck of dust behind. Come again, I can still hold on. Du Xiaofu roared, shaking the 9 heavens. His immortal Xian body was activated, and the muscles all over his body bulged, undulating nonstop. When Lu Jingyun and the others heard Du Xiaofu's words, they didn't hesitate in the slightest. Once again, they summoned a majestic power and poured it into the 8 trigrams diagram. With the influx of endless power, Du Xiaofu let out a long cry. Like an invisible sharp sword, he cut through the sky and earth, causing the 11th layer of hell to resonate with the sound of swords. His entire body seemed to be on the verge of exploding, and some parts of his immortal Xian body began to crack. However, this feeling also made him feel incomparably wonderful. This absolute power made him feel like he had transcended, as if he could destroy everything in the world with a single palm. Old ghost, come at me! Du Xiaofu roared, his purple robe and hair fluttering in the wind. He raised the purple-gold heavenly fault in his hand and pointed it directly at the blood ancestor. At this moment, borrowing the power of more than 200 meditative experts made Du Xiaofu feel unprecedentedly powerful. Chapter 29:16. Under the support of these powers, Du Xiaofu's body surged with endless light, making him look like a god of war with boundless power. Kill! He raised his sword and dashed forward. Along with the 8 trigrams in the void and the 200 or so meditative forgetfulness cultivators, he charged toward the blood ancestor. You little bastards think you're worthy of fighting me? The blood ancestor charged toward them, stepping on a crimson light. The boundless storm was stirred up by him, and energy filled the sky. It condensed into a giant phoenix claw, which tore the void into a chaotic state. It charged toward Du Xiaofu. The two clashed, and the sword light from the purple-gold heavenly tower slashed at the blood ancestor's claw. Chi-chi-chi. The sound of a sword slicing through metal rang out, ear-piercing. The blood ancestor's claw collided with the purple-gold heavenly tower. Sparks flew in all directions, emitting dazzling light. In the distance, the millions of immortal realm cultivators of the 33 heavens were watching the battle from afar. Because of the great distance, other than a few high-level immortal realm cultivators, the power of their primordial spirits couldn't see the details. Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, Long San, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, and the others all wore solemn expressions. The clash between Du Xiaofu's group and the blood ancestor caused everyone to be extremely shocked. They had already retreated to an extremely far place, but the aftershocks of the battle still fiercely transmitted to them, greatly affecting them. Dad and the others should be able to resist the blood ancestor. That old bird has been injured repeatedly, and his strength is much weaker than before. Little Xingxing said as she looked into the distance. Although this was what she said, she was actually a little worried. After all, the blood ancestor was extremely famous and had established a terrifying reputation since ancient times. On the other hand, his father and many of his brothers and sisters were still in the meditative realm. There was a huge gap between them and the blood ancestor. When these people joined forces to fight, their chances of winning were actually not that great. That old ghost is very scary. I hope Boss and the others can obtain the final victory. Du Xiaoyao's eyes flashed as she spoke. His thoughts were similar to Little Xingxing's. They were both filled with worry. But now, they were not strong enough to do anything. They could only rely on Du Xiaofu and the others to deal with everything. Don't worry, that brat Xiaofu has extraordinary means. Jingyun, Yu Xiao, and the others are not to be outdone either. After all, the blood ancestor was severely injured, so it wasn't impossible for them to defeat him. That guy Lu Xiaoyu must have considered these things. Since he dares to let us kill our way into the 18th level of hell, he must have a certain degree of confidence. Chu Daoju said from the side. Hearing his words, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the other powerhouses of the 33 heavens felt a lot more relieved. Just as he had said, entering the 18th level of hell this time was something that Lu Xiaoyu, the lord of the 3,000 sectors, had approved. If he didn't have a certain degree of confidence, he probably wouldn't joke around with the lives of his children and the others. At a critical moment, perhaps Lu Xiaoyu himself would appear once again to help them. One had to know that the demon race in the 18th level of hell was very powerful. The strongest people, besides the demon ancestor and the 2 demon servants, were several demon generals. The lord of the 3,000 sectors must have thought of these things and made corresponding countermeasures to deal with all of this. Otherwise, if they wanted to eliminate the demon race, wouldn't it be just empty talk? How could they completely kill the demon ancestor? Everyone, don't be anxious. Let's wait and see first. I think it won't be long before the situation over there becomes clear. With Xiaofu and Jingyun's methods, the blood ancestor definitely won't dare to underestimate them in the slightest. Long San said as he stood to the side. Then, everyone stopped talking. All of them seriously used the power of their primordial spirits to sense the situation in the distance. Under everyone's prying eyes, Du Xiaofu and the blood ancestors' attacks had completely exploded. After the sword glow from the purple-gold heavenly fault collided with the blood-colored claw, it separated upon contact. Immediately after, both of them swung down and collided with each other once again, emitting a loud rumble that shook the heavens. Chi. A glaring light immediately exploded. It was accompanied by an endless amount of energy as it churned. The area where the two of them were at transformed into a primal chaos state, completely swallowing their bodies. Buzz. When all of this exploded, a terrifying buzzing sound was produced. A sharp whistle pierced through the air, shaking the heavens and the earth, and cracking the mountains and the earth. The sky trembled uncontrollably and disintegrated piece by piece. There was a burst of chaotic light that was incomparably terrifying, directly swallowing everything around it. A huge vortex was formed, filled with a monstrous tearing force that swept in all directions. Every place in the 11th level of hell was greatly affected. Even if they were very far away, the void was still distorted and shattered. Rumble. The rumbling in the chaos continued, shaking the world. Not long after, two shadows rushed out from it and flew in two different directions. One of them was the Blood Ancestor's Hell Blood Phoenix body. It was so huge that it covered half of the sky. However, the Hell Blood Phoenix's body only had one wing. The other wing was made up of light, and it was indeed not a real existence. His wing had been cut off by Lu Xiaoyu back then. The other shadow that rushed out from the chaotic light was Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others. Their formation hadn't collapsed, but it was on the verge of collapse. It was as if they couldn't get any closer to it. Ugh. After retreating for thousands of miles, Du Xiaofu's throat unconsciously let out a muffled groan, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Not only that, but his immortal Xian body also swelled and cracked, and blood seeped out. He was heavily injured, but fortunately, more than 200 meditative realm cultivators joined forces to protect him, so he did not suffer any serious injuries. This old ghost is really scary, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He stopped moving and looked at the Blood Ancestor in the distance. At this moment, he felt the blood in his body roiling endlessly, as if his body was about to explode. The power of more than 200 powerhouses shuttled back and forth in his body. While protecting him, it also brought about great pressure. Old ghost, let's continue the battle. Du Xiaofu shouted, suppressing his thoughts and roiling blood in his heart. Chapter 29:17. Du Xiaofu glared at the Blood Ancestor with a fierce look in his eyes. Little bastard, you do have some skills, but if that's all you've got, then you can only die. The Blood Ancestor's eyes flashed as he spoke to Du Xiaofu coldly. His voice was accompanied by a sinister laugh. He hadn't suffered any injuries from the terrifying collision just now. Only his qi and blood had been shaken. It was obvious that even if the more than 200 powerhouses of the 33 heavens joined forces and used extraordinary methods to gather everyone's power, it would still be very difficult for them to truly harm him. Is that so? Then let's continue the battle. Du Xiaofu's eyes were cold as he spoke in a deep voice. He suddenly raised the broadsword in his hand and pointed it at the Blood Ancestor. Sword light shot out wildly. I admit that you have some skills, but I presume that you've reached your limit. You can't withstand the power of more than 200 meditative realm powerhouses. If you force it, I won't even need to do anything. You'll explode and die. The Blood Ancestor took a step forward in the void and instantly disappeared. As for Du Xiaofu, he felt an invisible pressure fill the air. This was the pressure naturally released by the Blood Ancestor. It shocked him. Even with the support of so many powerhouses, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but tense up. He knew that he couldn't let the Blood Ancestor get close to him. Otherwise, he would be defeated in an instant. Without any hesitation or thought, Du Xiaofu immediately flew back. The origin source of the law of space burst forth. His body flickered a few times, suddenly to the east, then to the west, avoiding the Blood Ancestor's pursuit. At the same time, a loud roar came from his mouth. It was like muffled thunder that shook the world. The entire 11th layer of hell was trembling. Fellow cultivators, give me another 20% of your power. Let me have a good fight with this old ghost. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the 200-plus meditative forgetfulness experts around the 8 trigrams were stunned. They could not help but look at each other. Most of them looked grave and hesitant. Yu Qing Divine Emperor, can you take it? An old man asked worriedly. He didn't inject his power immediately. Martial Uncle Du, are you sure you're all right? Lu Ying also frowned. Her face was incomparably solemn. Don't force yourself. If things don't work out, we'll leave first. After all, before we entered the 18 levels of hell, the lords of the 3,000 universes told us to focus on preserving our lives and not to fight a decisive battle here. One of the experts looked at Du Xiaofu with a solemn expression on his face as he spoke again. It's all right. I know what to do. I'll definitely be able to take it if you add another 20% of your strength. I'll leave some leeway, so don't worry, everyone. Du Xiaofu spoke as he understood. He had quite a bit of confidence in himself. Right now, he was only using his indestructible Xian body to take the brunt of the attack. If he were to add on the Azure Spirit armor, even if he were to add on 50% of the power displayed by the 200 experts just now, he was confident that he would be able to withstand it. Therefore, Du Xiaofu's plan was very simple. He would add another 20% of his strength and fight with the Blood Ancestor. Once it came to a critical moment, he would definitely resist the power of the 200-plus experts, even if he risked being devoured by the boundless power. In that case, Martial Uncle Du, be careful. Lu Jingyun shouted. He instantly reached an agreement with the experts around him. Once again, he displayed an even more terrifying power. Through the 8 trigrams in the void, it flowed into Du Xiaofu's body. At the same time, the others moved as well. They attacked in unison and started to strike out expanses of pure quintessence energy of the Grand Tao. After that, they transformed into the quintessence of the laws and entered Du Xiaofu's body. Following the infusion of this majestic power, Du Xiaofu's throat let out a violent roar. He felt as if he was about to explode. His entire body began to swell and redden, as if blood was about to drip out. All over his body, his skin began to crack, and blood seeped out. This power was too strong, and it made his body feel like it was about to collapse. However, following this, Du Xiaofu felt his body become even stronger. It was as if there was an infinite amount of power in his body, and he could directly destroy the world. Qi, his body, which was shuttling through the void, suddenly stopped. He stopped and faced the Blood Ancestor. Du Xiaofu's black hair fluttered in the wind, piercing through the sky. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Following the infusion of this terrifying power, the purple-gold heavenly tower began to emit a terrifying buzzing sound and tremble endlessly. Waves of origin energy shot out, causing the broadsword to look like a divine sword that could split the heavens, and it released a surging and domineering might. Kill! Such a roar came from Du Xiaofu's mouth. He stepped into the air and rushed directly toward the Blood Ancestor. During this process, his body continued to crack, and it showed signs of becoming more and more intense. It didn't take long for Du Xiaofu's entire body to be covered in wounds. However, he didn't care at all. Before his immortal Xian body completely burst open, he suddenly slashed out with his sword. Qi! In an instant, a divine light moved through the sky, transforming into a giant sword that was millions of feet long. It stretched across the sky and pointed directly at the Blood Ancestor. As soon as this huge sword was formed, the surrounding space collapsed and was crushed into chaos. Kid, how can you be a match for this ancestor? Since you want to die, then this ancestor will send you on your way. Seeing Du Xiaofu stop and launch an attack, the Blood Ancestor's face darkened a little as he shouted. Although his words were still arrogant and contemptuous toward Du Xiaofu, there was a serious look in his eyes. With his keen sense of smell, the Blood Ancestor sensed a trace of danger. Although this danger wasn't fatal, it still made him take it seriously. As a powerhouse who had survived from ancient times, he absolutely couldn't fail miserably. As he spoke, the blood ancestor's figure disappeared again. When he reappeared, he landed not far away from Du Xiaofu. The two of them continued to fight fiercely. Du Xiaofu's sword soared through the sky, and the blood ancestor's blood wings flapped in the sky, sweeping through the 9 heavens. The two of them erupted into an unimaginable collision. Waves of terrifying origin energy formed one after another destructive storm, sweeping through the entire 11th level of hell. Kill! Rumble! Both the blood ancestor and Du Xiaofu roared. Every move they made contained the power to destroy heaven and earth. This time, Du Xiaofu's power was much stronger than before. It was actually somewhat on par with the blood ancestor. The blood ancestor was shocked by this outcome. Chapter 29:18. A terrifying battle broke out between the two of them. Du Xiaofu's entire body was enveloped in vigorous origin energy, making him look like a god of war. The broadsword purple-gold heavenly tower was in his hand, releasing a ferocious and domineering aura. When the first strike landed, it was as if the entire space was going to be destroyed. It was incomparably terrifying. The same was true for the blood ancestor. A terrifying murderous aura radiated from his body. Every time he attacked, it seemed ordinary and unremarkable, but it gave Du Xiaofu a tremendous amount of pressure. Rumble! The 11th layer of hell was shaking non-stop, as if the world was about to be destroyed. The experts who were watching from afar had already retreated further away. The battle over there was too terrifying, and no one dared to rashly approach it. Otherwise, just some of the aftershocks would be enough to annihilate ordinary immortal realm experts. They wouldn't even be able to escape. Is this the combined strength of hundreds of meditative realm experts? Boss is really strong now. He's not much weaker than the blood ancestor. Du Xiaoyao's eyes flashed as she watched the battle. She couldn't hide the shock in her heart. Little Xingxing, Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, Long San, and the others nodded at the same time. A few high-level immortal realm experts were able to sense the battle between Du Xiaofu and the blood ancestor even though they were far away. They couldn't help but be shocked by the battle. Just as Du Xiaoyao said, the battle between Du Xiaofu and the blood ancestor was extremely intense. Now that they were exchanging blows, it seemed like they were evenly matched. This benefit came from the combined strength of more than 200 meditative realm experts and the blood ancestor's heavy injuries. Otherwise, the result wouldn't be like this. If Xiaofu can withstand all the power of more than 200 meditative forgetfulness experts, then he'll be really formidable. Not to mention the current blood ancestor, even the blood ancestor before he was injured twice in the Qian Su Jinghua heaven would be suppressed by him. Unfortunately, it's almost impossible. Chu Daoju smacked his lips and sighed. He wasn't wrong. With Du Xiaofu's cultivation, he could only withstand a small portion of the combined strength of Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others. Otherwise, his body and primordial spirit wouldn't be able to withstand it and he would explode. Otherwise, it would be much easier to deal with the blood ancestor. I think that if Jingyun and Xiaofu work together, they might be able to defeat the blood ancestor. You should know that Du Xiaofu, that kid still has a lot of tricks. Suddenly Long San spoke. These words caused Chu Daoju, Ling Feng, Little Xingxing, Little Demon Du, and the others to raise their brows in surprise. There's no need to rush. I'm afraid we'll see the results soon, Chu Daoju said after a moment of silence. The immortal realm experts didn't say anything else. They all focused on the battle between Du Xiaofu and the blood ancestor. In the distant void, the purple-robed young man's body was constantly moving in the air. The broadsword in his hand cut through the mountains and rivers. Everywhere it passed, everything turned into chaos. On the other side, the blood ancestor continued to attack. His attacks were simple and unadorned, but they all blocked Du Xiaofu. The two of them fought back and forth, using one technique after another. It was incomparably terrifying, stirring up the entire space on this level. However, relatively speaking, Du Xiaofu was still at a disadvantage. He was at a disadvantage. The blood ancestor was simply too terrifying. Du Xiaofu himself couldn't withstand the infusion of more power. A large area of his body cracked, and fresh blood flowed down, covering his entire body. However, he didn't stop at all. He continued to fight the blood ancestor. Boom, boom. Terrifying energy raged wildly, sweeping in all directions and sweeping away everything in its path. This was a collision of ultimate power. Although it couldn't be compared to a battle between immortal realm experts at their peak, it was still somewhat similar. It was extremely terrifying. Du Xiaofu and the blood ancestor continued to fight for a long time. As time passed, the gap between the two of them finally became very obvious. This old ghost is indeed an immortal realm expert from ancient times. Even though he's so severely injured, he's still difficult to deal with. Du Xiaofu quickly retreated, avoiding the blood ancestor's continuous attacks as he muttered to himself. He was filled with endless emotions. The blood ancestor was really too terrifying. Even with the help of more than 200 immortal realm experts, it was still difficult for him to resist. After fighting for a long time, he finally couldn't hold on any longer. If he forced himself, he was afraid that the blood ancestor would take advantage of his carelessness. It was very likely that he would be blown up by the blood ancestor's punch and die. After all, he still had vigorous but extremely violent energy in his body. If that was the case, Du Xiaofu would probably feel extremely sullen. Little bastard, you finally know to run? How can this ancestors might be blasphemed by a little brat like you? Seeing Du Xiaofu use the same trick again, the blood ancestor chased after him. At the same time, he couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. This human was indeed extraordinary. The blood ancestor also thought highly of Du Xiaofu in his heart. However, they were enemies with each other, so there was no mercy when they attacked. Most importantly, in the blood ancestor's opinion, even though Du Xiaofu's methods were strange and could combine the power of more than 200 experts, he was still not his match. As long as that brat dared to fight to the end, he could definitely kill him. But obviously, Du Xiaofu wouldn't give him the chance. Everyone, increase the power by another 20%. Du Xiaofu shouted at Lu Jingyun, Liu Xiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others. All right. The 200-plus meditative experts all looked deeply at Du Xiaofu with a hint of worry in their eyes. However, no one hesitated and directly took action, instilling more power into Du Xiaofu's body along the pattern of the 8 trigrams in the void. Huff, huff, huff. After this wave of incomparably pure energy entered, Du Xiaofu's body began to tremble violently. His body swelled again, like a balloon that had been blown up, rapidly expanding, and his skin was bright red. Ah! Painful roars continuously came out from Du Xiaofu's throat. His face was ferocious, and he looked like he was in incomparable pain. The 8 trigrams continued to rotate, as if it wanted to completely explode him. Roar. Following that, a long roar sounded out, and the sound of a dragon's roar shattered the void. The painful hissing stopped and instantly disappeared. At the same time, the body of 100,000 feet long green dragon suddenly appeared in the void. On the dragon's body, every dragon scale shone with a cold light, and its muscles were knotted together, carrying with them an explosive power. With a swing of its dragon tail, the wind and clouds filled the sky, breaking through the clouds and shattering mountains and rivers. This was Du Xiaofu's azure spirit armor. When it was used, not only did it have a huge defensive power, it also stabilized the churning blood in his body. The power of many meditative experts was now much easier to bear. Old ghost, I don't believe that I can't beat you. Du Xiaofu's roar turned into a terrifying dragon's roar, piercing through the soul and stirring up an endless storm. It spread throughout the entire 11th level of hell, and everywhere it passed, it turned into nothingness. Little bastard, no matter how many tricks you have, you can't change the outcome. To you, the only outcome is death. And that ball of chaos origin in your body will belong to me. The blood ancestor said in a cold and unhurried voice. A dazzling crimson light burst forth from his eyes, and a violent killing intent flashed through them. After saying this, The blood ancestor stepped through the void and instantly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body. He gently thrust his palm forward, and it appeared to be very calm, as if it were an ordinary person's palm strike. Its speed appeared to be very slow. However, in Du Xiaofu's eyes, this was not the case. The blood ancestor's palm directly stirred up the surrounding great Tao, and the laws of nature were completely disrupted. This seemingly ordinary palm strike contained unimaginable killing intent. Die! Du Xiaofu's dragon eyes turned as he watched the blood ancestor charge toward him. His dragon body twisted wildly in the void. He lashed out with a dragon claw, which tore through the sky and instantly collided with the blood ancestor's palm. Chi! The dragon claw and the withered palm collided, producing a metallic sound and sending sparks flying in all directions. A ball of bright light exploded between the two of them, as if an entire world had exploded, and the powerful light instantly spread out. Pif! Under the terrifying rebounding force, the two of them were sent flying backwards. Du Xiaofu's dragon body tumbled through the void, crushing the void into a chaotic state, creating a complete mess. Cracks appeared on his body, and dragon blood splattered everywhere. The blood ancestor's situation was not much better. Dazzling crimson blood flowed from his withered palm. As he retreated, a hint of shock appeared in his eyes. This little bastard is really strong. The blood ancestor murmured in disbelief. The power that Du Xiaofu had just displayed was simply too powerful, making him feel even more threatened. Even the blood ancestor didn't dare to underestimate Du Xiaofu anymore. So what if you're strong? In the end, you still can't escape from my hands. Right now, I presume that this is your ultimate strength. If this ancestor wants to kill you, it won't be that difficult. The blood ancestor's eyes became extremely cold as he stared coldly at Du Xiaofu. As a Dao carrier stage powerhouse, he naturally had even more terrifying techniques up his sleeve. At the very least, he had not revealed his true body yet. The blood ancestor believed that as long as he unleashed the infernal blood phoenix's true body, he would definitely be able to kill Du Xiaofu. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.